Well, good evening, everybody. It's the Cryptid Huntress. I'm Jessica Jones, and yes, I'm fashionably late, Cryptiville. How's everybody doing tonight, you guys? Thank y'all so much for joining us on this beautiful Thursday evening. And yes, I do give apologies for being a couple minutes late there. I don't have enough minutes in every day. I just don't. I don't know where my days go. And so we have a wonderful show for tonight. I have remote viewed two different remote viewing targets for you guys tonight. And Barry gave me one that I had never heard of before until now. And it is called the Siberian Cauldron. Cauldrons, actually. There's a bunch of them, allegedly. Now, of course, I don't believe Barry knew if these were real or not. And I have a lot of remote viewing data. And I'm going to let the audience decide tonight if you guys think these things are real. And also something that a lot of y'all might be familiar with is the Devil's Tramping Ground up in North Carolina at a place called Bear Creek. I think it's Chatham County, up in kind of the middle of North Carolina, smack dab in the middle. There's a place where grass does not grow in a perfect circle out there. And there's a lot of suspicion and theories about why the grass doesn't grow there, but it is, let's just say, kind of sacred or cursed land, maybe. Okay, and we're going to get into the data for that. I've remote viewed that twice. I could not locate my data for the first time I remote viewed it, but I found the second set of data, and so we're going to go over that. I'm pretty sure it's the same kind of data, though. Okay, so for both times I've remote viewed that, it's an oldie but a goodie, and I've never talked about it publicly before. And I think it might be pretty interesting for you guys and for us tonight to discuss, especially with Barry. I don't think Barry's ever heard of this one. So, yeah, if you guys would like to see all the raw remote viewing data, please go over to my Patreon. Thank you so much to all my Patreon members. You guys mean the world to me. It's the Cryptid Huntress over on Patreon. And you can see all that data. It's a great way to support my work. And the channel is to go over there and to become a member. You can follow along with all of the data. It's right there. And all the pictures and all the stuff that I show. It's like a whole presentation over there on my Patreon. So thank you guys so much for all the support. Also, if you need to get in touch with me or whatever, go to my website. It's thecryptidhuntress.com. And I'm horrible about getting back to people right now because I'm so busy. But you can find all of my shows there, all of my social media links and all that. If you guys want to give me a follow on any of my platforms. I also have a podcast, you guys. I'm on all the podcasting platforms, or most of them. And so I put my shows up there pretty much immediately after I get done with my live shows. They go up there on podcasting platforms. So you can listen to me in your car, your boat, and your UFOs. Okay, so, and also I do have a shop called War Woman Goods. I have a lot of new stuff in there. And thank you guys so much for shopping with me, with my shop for the holidays. Okay, well, let's get to our show, y'all. I have Barry Littleton here in the studio tonight, and we're going to have a really good discussion and a great conversation. I cannot wait to get to it. Okay, let's go. We're going to talk about the Siberian Cauldrons is what they're called. In Siberia, there is a place called the Valley of Death, over 62,000 miles of mostly uncharted land. According to legend, a major battle in the sky occurred there around 800 years ago, where fire and explosions were caused in the sky by what locals believed was a battle amongst the gods. After this enigmatic event, strange metal structures were seen scattered around the land. Many travelers and locals reported seeing what they described as large upside-down cauldrons made of what looks like copper, which became known as the Cauldrons of Siberia. People reported that these structures were warm inside, no matter how cold it was outside. Hunters who sought shelter in them for prolonged periods of time died, seemingly of symptoms like radiation poisoning. In 1971, an old hunter claimed that he had come across a large harpoon near one of these domes and encountered large, one-eyed humanoids inside wearing outfits or clothes made of iron. So metallic outfits. Okay, so many believe the domes were the result of Soviets and their secret experiments in the 1950s. Others believe that they were underground bunkers to protect from an alien threat, probably ancient aliens a long time ago. And some theorize that they were made or brought there by aliens, and some think they could even be crashed UFOs. Well, of course, Barry tasked me with the Siberian Cauldrons as a coordinate remote viewing target. And of course, I also have the Devil's Tramping Ground target as well. We'll get into that after I bring Barry up. So you guys, please help me welcome to the show our good friend, Mr. Barry Littleton. Hey, Barry.
Hey, greetings, Jessica. What's happening? Hello to the audience, too. Thanks for having me on.
Well, of course.
I want to say something real quick. I want to apologize to you and to your audience because the last show we had done, towards the last few minutes, I got a little raw and a little hardcore and negative. And I want and I realized something. I had not protected myself before that show, like most of them, and not just myself, but we've both been under attack. And I had not shielded myself, so I was picking that stuff up, and it turned my attitude kind of sour, like the last 2 minutes. So I want to apologize about that. It's not my normal my normal MO. So anyway, but
no need to apologize, Barry. It's all good.
This will be and the way they do that is they prey on people's hidden emotion. And I was talking about an Earthbound Spirit release that I still have some emotion towards. So that trapped emotion is a way they'll get in through your shields immediately and get you to act funny. So it's one of those things to keep ourselves shielded and protected.
It sure is.
On a different note, though, this will be an interesting one there. And I'm by no means an expert on this phenomenon, but I've always been curious about it for a couple of reasons that we'll go over. But I hesitated until you gave me that omen. I was hesitating to give you this target because I just wasn't sure if it'd be real. You know what I mean? And I didn't want to give you a bum target, almost thinking I doubted it that much, but Spirit said wanted to go ahead and do it. So here we are anyway.
Yeah. It's really wild. First of all, how did you come up with this target? Is this something you've been looking into? We're talking about the Siberian Cauldrons. How did you find out about the Siberian Cauldrons, and what got you interested in it?
I've been hearing about them for a while, and it was always in association from the date that they were found by that explorer, whoever, I can't remember, Marco or whatever it was, but they were the way that they were found is just the age of them. And it kind of made me think and go back of things like we read about, about the Vahiminos, the craft, like in India.
Yeah.
And in the Vedas and all that. Yeah. So, it makes you think about that type of a war, actually. And were those things being used for a war, or what I kind of pick up sometimes, were they a type of deflector system to push things that are Earth, that just, could be like a Star Wars type of program, but also to push asteroids and incoming threats away as well. Like a deflector type of system. So it just made me wonder. And, something interesting about it is that they're reported, and then all of a sudden the report is just supposed to be some sort of hoax. And they're saying like it's supposed to be some sort of sulfur pits or something. There's some whole scientific explanation they give for these supposed holes where they could have been, right?
Oh.
And I'll give you an example. I just wonder about these things. I'll give you an example because, oh God. Oh, well, your audience knows I'm weird anyway. Who cares? But I always look for references. Recently I had a wild hair and I went and saw, before I was at a theaters, that new Superman movie, the newest one. And I didn't think it was that bad, but that's another story. But anyway, something that they represented, I think, that was more accurate than what they could back in the 70s. Was that his solitude for his fortress of solitude went underground and then came up. It was submerged, and then it would merge. It would merge out, and they go in at them. But I mean, it was subterranean technically. And when dealing with this concept of these cauldrons, I think that's, noteworthy. One more thing, all right?
Okay.
Boy, why not? Here we go. All right, so another reason this caught my attention, there's this weird cat, man, and he goes on YouTube by Rudolph of Germany, and he's like this tripped out cat. He calls himself the tall white alien. Look, I don't like the cat, all right? I don't like his energy. I don't like the dark thing. And I mentioned before that he had one of them. He said, "This is the juice of God and the black goo, and it's pheromotic fluid that you can order off Amazon for magic tricks." So stuff like that, I'm a little bit real cautious of. And contrary to a lot of people's thoughts, I did not just start on your platform. I've been around for a while, and I was on another person's platform who has an audience that's like triple both you and I's put together. Okay, and we did a lot of shows together, and they were somewhat obsessed with this individual, and they're always sending me stuff. B, check out what the white alien says about this and that. This is a melanin dominant person, so it's odd. They had some sort of weird, I think, astral sexual thing going. Anyway, not my business. but I don't resonate. Look, I just don't like the dark stuff. All right, it's not that I don't acknowledge it, but I don't vibe with it. I don't like the cat's vibe, and I'm not into that. But he's got some interesting information, okay? He's very well read and very strange. He's talking about getting demons and all these different things. But one thing that this individual had sent me was a video of this individual out by somewhere in Germany, I guess, by a big cauldron. And it looked like it was a sewer cauldron almost. And he was saying it was a gateway to hell. And he had a recorder or his phone or something. He was putting it in the hole there. And it sounded like you could hear people screaming and crying, and like these roar type sounds, like these dragon type sounds or something, reptilian sounds. He did it a couple of times. He put it back in there, And since we're gonna do this, I went through and looked at. He's got hundreds and hundreds of videos. I can't take the energy of it, right? But I couldn't find that one. I could find the fake black goo and all that, but I couldn't find that one. And it's one of the, but just the fact that it looked like one of these cauldrons and that he was messing around and that whole deal. I'm not saying it wasn't a hoax, but it's just noteworthy. You know what I'm saying? So those are all things for me to actually give you that and to see. And if you saw that video I had put up when I tagged you on Facebook, that video, they talked about the people who did like serious expeditions in whatever it is, the marsh area, whatever it is, they're looking for one of these things. And several had commented they thought they were finding underground structures there that were metal. You probably saw that.
Yes, so they were walking through a swamp, like an area that had been covered in water because they couldn't find these domes. Apparently, they had disappeared. They didn't know where they were, and they were walking through this like 2 or 3 feet of water, and they were stepping on like hollow metal, rounded domes. Kind of. I think they were under the water at that point, and so that was on that last expedition. They talked about it. I've got a whole list. I actually took notes. Okay. I took notes from that movie actually. So yeah, because it's really odd because you didn't know for sure if these were real. And then I'm watching, there's not a whole lot of information about it.
Okay. Okay. So here's the deal. Okay. Everybody knows I went through this whole deal, big spiel. I might as well say it. Look, Spirit is always talking to me. Okay. And I get a lot of omens. And I get pushed in a certain direction. I wasn't going to give you this target. Remember, I had told you days before, hey, I got a new target for you. And I wanted to give it to you before that, but I was like, no. And then that day I was going to do it. And then like 2 days went by and I just didn't. I said, man, I scrapped that idea. I said, man, I'll give her something. She's got other targets she'll do probably, and I'm not doing it. And then you sent me this message at like 10:30 at night. You're like, hey, I subscribed to this guy's channel. I'm looking at all his stuff because you talked about him a couple of times. And it was Rudolph of Germany, the white tall alien. Oh, my God, I couldn't believe it. That was an omen. I said, okay, I guess I'm supposed to give her the target. Because he was one of the reasons I was going to give it in the first place. Not the only one, but something that was influencing. You know what I mean? So the fact that you did that, I was like, man, so I guess we're supposed to go over it. And then here we sit.
You know why I sent you that? Because he was talking about how he wanted to give us all a whipping. or something.
Very positive. Did he have his black suit on, his black uniform?
Oh, man. We're going to get ourselves in trouble tonight, Barry. Yeah.
Oh, man. Yeah. I mean, so, I try to not throw, of course, as we always say, throw the baby out with the bathwater. It's hard because I don't like the dark energy. I don't like the dark vibe thing. And look, I just avoid that a lot of times. You know what I mean? If it's somebody it's like when you come across somebody that's perfectly possessed, you know that they be messed up.
Yeah.
When you get in their energy field, you know something's wrong with them. I avoid those people. You know what I mean? Because we're not the same. And if you start focusing on it, it starts bringing that stuff to you. You know what I mean?
Right.
You start manifesting it. I don't need that. I got enough problems. I don't need any weird,
You don't need a whipping? You don't need a whipping?
Yeah, whipping. No, I'm good.
Oh, man.
Last Gordon, you got pretty good whooping from Prince Baron on that little thing. Pow, pow. Yeah. Anyway, well, let's go over all the notes you had, because I think you're pretty good and thorough at that, and you can educate everybody more than I probably can. You probably got a bunch on there, but the fact of it, one thing I thought was really cool is it maybe being a defense system, and that's one reason it's submerged and goes back down, like we were talking about. So anyway, and what could have possibly have happened to it, and who did it, who constructed it? Since it's maybe not a fake, maybe it is. It'll be up to the audience to decide, I guess.
Yes, let me get my light out. Okay, so I can see my notes here. Okay, so let's see. I don't know if I pulled up any like AI pictures or anything. I mean, I made some like AI pictures, and I put in what I could, and that's what you see on the thumbnail, like what I kind of knew about what these look like. But they just look like copper domes, like if you turned a cauldron, like a cast iron cauldron over, basically. And of course, we've got a bunch of them out in the backyard, and they have spikes on the bottom of them. These things don't have spikes on them, but I do have I do have a couple of pictures from that video. I took a couple of screenshots just so the audience can get an idea kind of what they look like. Let's see if they uploaded. Here's one right here. I think this is from that movie. Okay. One of the movies that I watched, on there. And so that's kind of what it looks like. Okay, this is like a digital AI kind of thing that somebody made, but that's what these things look like in Siberia. Okay, so there is a place in Siberia. This is called the Valley of Death, is what they call it, because it's uncharted land. There's nobody lived out there. Still nobody lives out there for the most part. But there was according to legend, this was supposed to just be legend. There was an event that occurred about 800 years ago where they had a battle in the sky, is the way the locals, the local tribes people who lived out there described it. They thought it was a battle amongst the gods, like gods were fighting each other, they said. And they said that after the battle was over, after there were all these explosions and fire in the sky, that there were all these metal domes everywhere after this battle happened. And they said some of it just like upside down cauldrons. It looked like copper. But they became known as the Cauldrons of Siberia. They believe they're spread all over the land and they're underground. So people were saying they were actually underground across the Valley of Death. And they're surrounded by strange bushes and trees that aren't even native to that area, which is odd. They say that I remember hearing that they actually had like big leaves on them, like palm trees and stuff, like stuff that should not be there in that area. And being near the domes for too long will make you sick. Okay, so people get sick if they stay around them too long, and it's almost like radiation poisoning. It's the same symptoms as that. And here's a kicker right here. Animals will not go near them. Animals don't want to be anywhere near them. And when I was reading about that, it made me think of the Devil's Tramping Ground up in North Carolina, because that's a place where animals will not go near it. And guess what else, Barry? You know what? Another thing that we've remote viewed where animals won't go near it? Mel's Hole.
Wow, that's right.
Okay.
Okay. Look, I can't take it anymore.
Okay.
What's the Devil's Tramping Ground? Just go over the whole thing. What is it exactly?
You want to go over the Devil's Tramping Ground?
Yeah. Because I mean, I don't know what it is. It sounds very interesting.
Okay. Well, here,
I feel
let's pull up some pictures.
flying blind. Yeah.
Okay. Well, this is the Devil's Tramping Ground right here. It's actually just a circle. It's in the middle of the woods. Right now, it's actually in a privately owned camping ground there. And I'm going to pull up some websites here in a minute of where, if you guys want to make, it's a perfectly round circle where nothing grows. Animals will not go near it. It's a mysterious clearing in the woods where two paths lead to what is a perfect circle where nothing can grow. No man can spend the night without losing his sanity, they say. Where if you put an object inside that circle at night or at sundown, it will be outside of the circle in the morning. And the locals say that is where the devil actually walks in circles at night. The devil himself walks up one path leading to the circle, tramps around and around, thinking of evil thoughts and plotting against good. And some people say that the Native Americans, before the white man came, would meet for feasts there. And after eating, here's an aerial picture. But after, let's see. After eating, they would do a war dance, tramping the circle, which is why nothing grows there. A second legend is that two rival Indian tribes met at the tramping ground and a fierce battle ensued. The Indian chief Croatan, isn't that the same? The Croatan are the same tribe that those people that disappeared. Remember, I had remote viewed that too. What was that called? I can't remember, but the Croatans, I guess, like that was the word that was written on that tree when that whole entire community disappeared back in the day. So I don't know. Well, somebody in the chat will know. I'll look over there in a minute. But the Indian chief Croatan was killed and buried on the spot. And it's speculated that the circle stays clear because of the great spirits that are mourning for their fallen leader. Whatever the legend is, the circle remains to this day, and it is now known as the Devil's Tramping Ground. And it is right there smack dab in the middle of North Carolina. And I've been hearing about this thing for a long time, Barry. But it's a place where animals will not go near it as well.
You know, it's very interesting. And that circle is not at all associated with the UFO landing.
Well, some people say it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, some people think it is. There's a whole lot of speculation behind that. Okay, and UFOs, ET, something underground. They say from what I've gathered from it, from the information that I've researched, the only thing that they have come up with as to why there's nothing there. There's no like reason behind it other than the ground is sterile. They say the ground is sterile, according to some tests that were done on it. But other than that, there's no other explanation as to why there's nothing growing on that circle. It's like a perfect circle. I think it's like 14 feet across, like in radius. I think. So,
fascinating. That's fascinating. Because
yeah.
I've heard about other spots where they're permanent spots like that based on landing gear. And
really?
I find it interesting. You start dealing with electro-gravitational forces. Even like things that would be similar to the circulating light beams that might make the crop circles with the plasma beams combined, that also would maybe move things out of that little circle. If you kept it in there, it might vibrationally, magnetically push it out. That's very interesting, gravitational field of some type. It's really interesting,
It is, right? It is. It's Roanoke Island. Thank y'all so much. I see everybody in here putting in the chat. It's the lost colony of Roanoke. Okay. And yeah, that's it. So it's interesting that there's a connection to Croatan and the missing people of Roanoke Island. And then we got this Devil's Tramping Ground here in that same area. So, and it could be, they say that that's actually where that was written on that tree, because that's where all of the colony went, was to the Croatan. The Croatan, I think there's an island called Croatan or something like that. But yeah, on the Outer Banks. Thank y'all so much. Actually, was it Roanoke, Virginia? Was it Virginia or North Carolina? I guess it was Virginia. I don't know. But anyways, nonetheless, that's what it is, y'all. And so we're going to get into the data for that too. But I think let's start off with the Siberian Cauldrons first. Okay. Let's go to that one first. Now, I'll give a little bit of more information on this, okay, on these cauldrons, because there's a lot to it. And there have been different explorers throughout the centuries, and I say centuries, that have gone and experienced different things there. And the first cauldron encounters were actually experienced by the Evenk, I think is how you say it, the Evenk people. They were nomads who traveled through the area, and one woman claimed that her grandfather had shown her this metal arch. It's like a metal arch that was coming out of the ground. And he took her down there. Now, I'm going to show a, let's pull up this website, because there's a really good drawing that somebody did. Let's see. Devil's Tramping Ground. Okay, here we go. All right, so this is, there should be a pretty good drawing right here, if you guys can see this, of what they encountered. Okay, and it says, image credit, Bibliotheca Pleiades. Okay, but this is
Biblioteca, one of the very few Spanish words I actually know what it means.
Yes. Okay. Well, this is what people claimed that it looked like underneath the ground. Mm-hmm.
Now, you know what's really interesting and weird?
What's
I'm
that?
probably gonna get laughed at for this, but
Okay.
do you know what that kind of reminds me of? There was
What?
that expedition that Rob Lowe and all of them did down to that place near not the Canary Islands. Where was it? Near Catalina, maybe.
Oh,
And they
okay.
thought it was an underground UFO base.
Oh,
When they were
yeah.
showing it, the design of it, it kind of looks similar. I swear. That's just interesting to me. And that, of course, they didn't find anything. But they thought it was this big base, based on the way it looked somewhat like that, just a little bit. Somebody's got to know what I'm talking about there. I'm pretty sure it was
Yeah.
off the Catalina Islands, or off Catalina, somewhere over there, where all the USO sightings are.
Wow. Interesting. Catalina is also where there's supposed to have been giant skeletons have been found there as well.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Interesting. Okay. Well, let's see. Okay, so this woman who I believe she was a descendant of the Evenk people, the tribe that lived there in that area. She said that her grandfather had taken her downstairs, taken her to one of these domes. They went underground, and this is what they saw right here. And she said that had several chambers. They went down a spiral staircase, and it had several chambers that were made of metal. And he told her that it was always warm in there, no matter how cold it was outside. And hunters would sleep in these domes sometimes, and if they stayed too long, they died. And the sickness that they got was very much what sounded like radiation poisoning would be today.
Mm-hmm.
Now, later on, there were some explorers that went and ran into these domes as well. And in 1853, there was a man named Arm Mek, I think is how you pronounce his name. He reported finding a round metal object sticking out of the ground, and it had trees growing around it. In 1936, there was a geologist who found a round metal object. He said it was about 2 centimeters in thickness, which is not very thick, but it was found, and it was tall enough for a reindeer. I don't know if they were riding reindeers or what, but that's why I put that on the thumbnail, y'all. A reindeer could walk underneath it. So it was, what is that, like 8 feet maybe? I don't know if it's got antlers on it. Those things get pretty big. But he got a team together for an expedition, and he went to explore the structures, but he couldn't find them when he went back. So he had gone out there with, I think he had a guide, like one of the local tribes people took him out there as a guide. And then when he went by himself or with his crew, he couldn't find them. So then let's go to 1933. There was a man named Mikhail Korteski. He told the newspaper, so he wrote about this in a newspaper. Said that he went with his father to the area in 1933. He was 10 years old to pan for gold. Okay, here we go with more gold prospectors, Barry. Seems like this comes up a lot with all of these a lot of old cryptid sightings and stuff. It's always these gold prospectors. that are running into these things. So he said he went back in 1937. He had a guide with him. So that would only been like, what, 4 years later? So he would have been 14. He went with a guide. And then again in 1947, he went with his friends. He said he saw 7 cauldrons, all about 6 to 9 meters in diameter. He said they were not made of copper. He said they would not chip or dent whenever they hit them with a chisel. And so they had a layer of emery-like material on them. I don't even know what emery-like material is, Barry. I have no idea what emery is. We have an Emory University here in Georgia. I don't know what emery is. He said the vegetation growing around them was unlike any of the native vegetation. And the grass was really tall around him. He said it was 8 to 9 feet, which is weird. 6 of them stayed the night in the cauldron with no problems. But 3 months later, one of the men that had been on the expedition lost all of his hair, and he had 3 large sores on his face. That was the side of his face that touched the ground when he was sleeping in the cauldron on the floor.
Hey, real quick. Emery is a naturally impure form of aluminum oxide mixed with iron oxides like magnetite or hematite.
Oh.
Hard and dark-colored abrasive rock historically used to make a type of sandpaper emery cloth. Sorry, you were saying something. Please go back.
Oh, wonderful.
I just want to throw that in because I was.
Thank you.
Yeah, there was somebody there beat me to her. Was right with me on that.
So it's kind of like a metallic-looking crystal or something, some kind of like a rock or something, I guess.
Do you know what that sounds like to me though?
What's that?
What we now call metamaterials.
Metamaterials,
and
yes.
Especially if it's in dents, it can't be dented and things like that. You know, going back again to one of my corny 1980s reference, can't help it though. The Knight Rider 2000 kit was supposed to have what they called a molecular bonded shell on it, which was a new material. They kept saying it's a new substance, and it was like impervious to about everything. But in reality, right now in 2025, that's a metamaterial that can be realistically made for tanks. So anyway, but that's so fascinating. Just go back to what you're saying, please. I don't want to interrupt you. You're really killing it with information. You're doing great with info, so I don't want to interrupt.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Okay, so that man ended up losing all his hair, which 100% sounds like he got hit with some radiation, in my opinion. And he lost his hair, and he got these 3 sores on his face. They said the sores never went away. I'm assuming he eventually died. But they just said these sores were on him and for the rest of his life. Now,
wow.
Yeah, which is really sad, But they said that like hunters that had gone in there to sought shelter in these things because it was warm and they're out hunting. If they stayed too long, they died too. So.
You know, I wonder how long was the exposure time to death?
That's a good question. I don't know. I couldn't find anywhere where it said. I couldn't find it. So that man, they wanted to go back after his friend had passed away. They wanted to try to figure out like what was going on there. Was there something more there? And so they went back and they tried to chip off the side of the dome. They wanted to get some samples to take back. I guess they were going to go try to figure out if they had some, radiation in them or something. I mean, this was back in the 1930s or 40s, 1940s. And, but then when they tried to chip off little pieces of this dome, they wouldn't come off. Like it was absolutely nothing would chip off. And, and so what they did was they went inside the structure and they took a stone, like a pebble out of it, a black small stone from inside one of them. And it was in a half sphere. It was smooth and black, but the stone has since been lost. They can't find it, but they did take a stone to try to get it analyzed.
That sounds like it could be magnetite or hematite. Technically, doesn't it? Yeah.
It does. It does. Let me see.
For the record, I've seen something similar to hematite on board a craft. Or maybe shale.
Oh, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Here's another picture right here for the audience if you guys want to see.
Yeah, I've seen. That's a good picture, I think.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a great one. It kind of looks like a UFO that has crashed into the ground, if you ask me. But I mean, I'm just saying.
That's the way the more they were described as when I first found out about them. That's years ago. But they're described more being like that, almost like these these things you could go into much bigger than the other ones. Not quite so domed, like only half as much. That's more what I always read.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Yeah, I'm glad you
Very
found
interesting. Let me see if there's any more. This is just from an article that I found. This is from the ancientcode.com. Okay, ancientcode.com. If you guys want to go to this website, and let's see if there's any more pictures before we shut this down here. I think that's really cool that they actually have a diagram, because like I said, you can't find a whole lot about these. I couldn't find a whole lot about it online. But okay,
Does that make it great? Does that make it great?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, anyways, okay, so there's that. And okay, so let's go up to so that was the 1940s when they took that stone out of there. That man had gotten the sores on his face. And then in 1971, 2 researchers from the town of Mearn, I think is how you say it, met an old hunter in the area. Now this is wacky right here. This is not wacky like in a bad way. It's really cool. They met an old hunter in the area between 2 rivers who claimed there was a large 3-faceted harpoon. Now a harpoon is like a spear that you would go spearfish with, or some kind of animal. Okay, if you wanted to go hunting. And not far from there was a burrow made of iron with a large, thin, one-eyed people. So Cyclops people inside wearing clothes of iron. Like Cyclops, Barry. And he said that he'd take the people to see them, but nobody believed them. They didn't want to go. So they didn't go. And let me go ahead and we'll stop sharing this because I do have a picture.
Hey, were the Cyclops, were they supposed to be giants or were they normal size? Did you read that by chance?
Well, it said that they were large and thin. Okay, and I think I have a picture. Here we go. This is from that video. I did a little screenshot, okay, of what they were. This is from the video that I was watching. They look like robots, actually. So outfits of metal. Now, this is back in the 1970s. I would think this man would know what a robot looks like. Okay, but he said they were actually like people with one eye on their forehead, I guess, right here, and they were wearing suits of metal or iron. Dead. They were not dead; they were sleeping. It's sleeping in a burrow inside one of these things. That's what he said. So let's move on to and they said and then nobody believed him, and then the man died. That's how that story went. They didn't believe him. Nobody would go with him, and then he died.
Died of radiation sickness.
I don't know.
Radiation poisoning.
That's a good question. I have no idea, because it was just like the story just kind of stopped with like, well, he died.
It means it's somewhat nebulous because were they asleep because they were like robots that were deactivated? How did he assess they were asleep? Did he see people inside these suits? Were they wearing hazmat suits because of the radiation? I mean, that's my question. You know what I mean? Which is, I think, a valid one. You know, or were they deactivated robots / androids, whatever? You know, it's very. It's I guess it's nebulous leaves it fun, but keep going. Sorry.
Yeah, it's weird, right? Cryptid says maybe they were Optimus robots from the future. Maybe.
Okay, just for the record, see, you got a crazy audience. Every now and again, I look over and somebody said that my voice sounds like the dark kid from Knight Rider named Carr, the night automated roving robot.
I saw that.
There was 2 episodes of that. The first episode that was voiced by the guy that voices Optimus Prime, actually. God, I can't remember the God, it's right on my. Anyway, same guy. The second one was voiced by somebody different that sounds similar. But yeah, so Optimus Prime and the bad Knight Rider were like the same voice. If my voice was that cool, you wouldn't even know me. I'd be a voiceover actor.
You could be, Barry. You have a great voice.
Oh, thanks. Oh,
you do.
Thank you. It's all
you do.
yelling and
Oh,
screaming.
I'm the queen of the raspy voices. Yes, I got one too. I've done a lot of talking throughout my life. I think that's why. But anyways, I'm not even a smoker or anything. Okay. But Jane wants to know, are they related to Robot Granny? I don't know, Jane. They might be. Could be. They could be robot grandmas. We got that whole Mount Shasta thing that I remote viewed, where there were like robots in the caves taking that kid and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Could
And
be
it's fascinating. We start going on, into artificial intelligence and those type of beings. Really, that's so popular right now. But even more so, what about the artificial intelligence from either the future, our own future that comes back and that we're dealing with, or from the past that's coming back, or AI that are, robots that are gone astray in a totally different civilization, and they're coming here renegade like, something corny like that old movie Heartbeats. Somebody in your audience remembers that movie Heartbeats with Andy Kaufman, where they're playing robots, and there's some real robots in that movie. But it was all about the autonomy of robots that were being used for industry only. That comes up again and again in science fiction, and now we're seeing this with. That's just fascinating to me. So keep going. I don't want to stop your flow. You're flowing hard.
Well, I got a little bit more. Okay. And all I did basically was transcribe some things that I was watching. Okay. So I got to give credit to these shows and stuff. Okay. Okay. So the most recent expedition was it was about 13 years ago at this point, 15 years ago. Okay. And that's the most recent one that I could find. They said one of the most recent expeditions was around 2013. It was led by Michel Visok. Michel Visok. It sounded like a dude. Okay. I think it was a man who didn't. Well, Michelle sounds like a girl's name, but if you're like French or Russian or something, it's a dude, I think. So I don't know. Everything's gender neutral these days, honestly. So it doesn't matter. But who didn't find the cauldrons? They could not find the cauldrons, Barry. They couldn't find them, but they did find something below the water in the swamp. So they were wading through the swamp. And they said they found objects below the water about 2 to 3 feet deep, which sounded metallic when they hit them. The tops were smooth, but they had sharp points around the outside edges. Now, that actually kind of lines up with this picture that I showed from one of those videos that I watched, where you can kind of see what looks like it's got something around the edges of the bottom. It almost looks like spears or some kind of triangular pattern down there at the bottom. Mm-hmm. And so they said there were sharp points around the edges. And listen to this. There were 18 people on that expedition. 2 of them got very sick during the expedition. So, and that's all I could find with that, with the expeditions. But here's what, okay, so this is what I found. They said that scientists believe that their explanation, if you want a scientific explanation, that these circular, and by the way, they were seeing like circular pools, like a vortex or something, okay, in the swamp. So there were like little circular pools that were going around that was like, the water looked like a vortex. Okay, it was just moving. And so they said, well, that was from swamp gas. That's what the scientist said. It's got to be swamp gas. What was Ray Szymanski that came on my show? I think that was his name. And he was a top scientist at what was that Air Force base where they took the Roswell crash? I can't remember. But anyways, he was he wrote a book called Swamp Gas My Ass. Okay. And this right here, I think they said this is Swamp Gas My Ass. They said they called them pingos. Methane gas bubbles.
Mm-hmm.
Methane gas bubbles.
Yeah, that's the explanation for all that now. Yeah,
it's swamp gas my ass. I just like saying ass, y'all, apparently. But they said that's not explain the metal structures under the water, though. Okay, yes, it could explain the water that was like circulating like in a vortex, but it can't explain the metallic structures underneath the water. And so
I can't help but wonder, but it seems like sometimes the equipment isn't used where it should be. What would ground radar show in that area right there?
Ooh,
you know what I
that's
mean?
Right.
And why has nobody done that? That just dispels the whole thing. If it's not real, The
There you
ground
go.
radar will show it. You know what I mean?
Yes.
What,
Thank you,
what a
Andrew.
what a perfect way to disguise a defensive / deflector system. You know?
Yeah. Yes. Well, and that brings us to the conclusion here. Okay, because some believe that the Soviets had a secret military base there, or some kind of secret military experiments going on from the 1950s. And that's why those domes are there. Maybe there's some kind of underground base or underground bunkers there that the Soviets were using, or maybe they were. This is what I read, that they were worried about an alien threat at some point, and so they made these bunkers. But some believe that these things were actually brought here and used by the ETs, and some people believe they are actual UFOs. Now, of course, the only way we're ever going to find out if these things are real and what they are is by remote viewing it, because nobody's ever going to tell us anything. So Barry gives Jessica a blind target, and I get a set of coordinates, and I sit down and I start remote viewing, and I got the data. Okay, I got the data. And what do you think about the data, Barry? Before we tell the audience about it.
Well, first when you said it, man, I didn't hear from you for a little bit, so I figured you to tell me, sorry, B, that there's a blank piece of paper, nothing going on there. You know what I mean? That's what I figured. I figured it was a bunk. I was like, okay, it's not real, and maybe it's just really swamp gas. Yes, I don't know. but when you sent it, and I was looking at it immediately, certain things I saw, especially on the second page, I was like, oh boy. And then the fact that your drawing looks so much like one of those bunkers. I was like, man, okay, that blows away the swamp gas thing. Like I said, I wasn't sure. I thought it might not be, but I was not sure. But I've heard about those things for a long time. And I always found it interesting that for whatever reason, they seem to have submerged in the swamp. And they can't be proven now, but then they seem to merge, submerge. And when it comes to something like I mentioned before, one reason I had given you the target of the crop circles and the nuclear bases, the UFOs that were deactivating them, and the children of Zimbabwe, and that the other ones who was doing that, I want to know what faction was doing that. I mean, could it be this faction of humans that were raised for generation off planet and then still have access to that technology that can be masked to look like plasma energy?
Wow.
Or even UFOs sometimes, but that's some type of a mirage that they're using with that, a camouflage they're using with that. But those are humans that have access to really advanced technology. There's a movie, one of the Star Trek episodes, there's a cat named Gary Seven that comes back in the original, and he's saying, I was raised off planet that's hidden to you even in the future, Kirk and them's era, it's still hidden. But they're wanting to help humanity, and they've been training us for generations until a crisis were needed here. So, stuff like that I don't think is BS at all. Okay, for reasons that I tried to tune into these humans and this faction. I tried to communicate with them, and that something happened. Okay, to where I can just say it's not a joke, and I wanted to see if that came out in your remote data. But the word you were using was not what I was expecting. But I mean, there must be a connection there. So anyway,
Yeah.
When going to that, is that a defense system that's left by them or someone like that? And real quick, okay.
Okay.
Before you go over the data, because then I won't talk no more at all. I want you to go all over it without me saying a word.
Okay.
There's an episode of the original Star Trek again, okay, and it's called the Paradise Syndrome. And they go to this planet where there's an asteroid about to destroy this planet, and it's too big for the Enterprise to deflect it. They tried, but they got crippled. But on the planet, there's this like Native Americans that there appear to be, and this monolith. Okay, and here I'm gonna share screen. Okay, so you can.
Oh, nice. We're getting.
Now that I actually know how
tonight.
I'm getting better with that. Actually,
You are. You're getting good at it.
There it is. So that's that episode. You see Kirk and Spot and them sitting back there. Well, Kirk goes up there and he uses his communicator. And he falls in that thing. It opens up. It's a musical device also. He falls in and he's kind of out of it. He actually hits the control and gets zapped. And then he basically thinks he's a white god amongst Indians. But anyway, but seriously, but what
That's
that
awesome.
winds up being, though, that obelisk is a deflector system. And it operates on musical tones. Spock found out, and he goes down there after Kirk got his memory back, and he activates it, and it has a deflector system so powerful it pushes that asteroid like out of their solar system. Okay, and that was left there by a species called the Preservers, and the Preservers were humanoids of some type that went around the galaxy, initiating humanoid, what do you call it, the Adam Kadmon form around the galaxy. Okay, and why there were so many types of humanoids like us and so many planets throughout the galaxy. Anyway, sorry, that was an incredibly long, detailed, winded story to just tell you that I think that one of those domes could be something similar to this, okay? A type of a system like that used to maybe shoot down not just hostile extraterrestrial like the Star Wars program, which would actually be called a scalar interferometer, a Hauser scalar interferometer. Okay, excuse me, Hauser Tesla scalar interferometer was what those systems were. So is that something that we're looking at here, like this, and that system, those Siberian domes? Is that what we're seeing? It's just, I'm not saying it's right, but I think it's just good food for thought, you know?
It is. Man, I love it how we can connect the dots, Barry.
Yeah.
I like how you've got references.
It could blast enemies, just like we saw in what they're talking about in the Vedas, the war between the gods in the skies. Is that part of that system there?
Ooh.
And also it can be used to also push off something like the what is it? What's the ones about to run into us next? The big asteroid.
Three-Eye Atlas. Three-Eye Atlas.
No, that's not going to hit us. There's one that's going to hit us. Is it Orpheus?
Oh no, I didn't know about that one.
No. There's a couple of them, but one of them they say it's coming now. So anyway, point being, is that what we're seeing? And I want to go over the data. Go for it, Jones. Hook us up.
Okay. All right. Well, let's see if this is real. That's interesting about the Vedas and stuff, because that's how they described what happened before all these copper looking domes crashed or showed up in the Valley of Death or whatever they called it. Whatever these Siberian cauldrons are, it was a clash of the gods up in the sky, a big war. Okay, so let's go into the data.
Many different cultures too. So
yeah. Okay. Well, so let's go over the sensory data first. Okay, and I find it interesting. The one word that sticks out the most is buried. Buried, because that's part of what they say that they're like cauldrons. They're like spheres that have been buried into the ground, right? So my sensory data is, okay, so long, eventful, sliced, spliced, diced. God, it sounds like a Waffle House order right there. Sorry. But scattered, covered, smothered, top, diced, chunked. Okay. That's a hash brown order, y'all, just in case you're wondering. But okay, so long, eventful, sliced, spliced, diced, divided, buried, over, and jump. That was my sensory data. Okay, so
last
my
word
analytic jump. I wrote jump. Okay, so now I'm taking the sensory data, and as I'm writing all those words down, I'm writing my analytic overlay on the other side of the page. And so what I wrote down was sacrifice. I wrote rock and roll. Belgian. I actually wrote the word Belgian down. So somewhere over in Europe or somewhere, I wrote Belgian. Complex, divine, split in half, overflow, taken back, and I heard take me back. I kept hearing I was hearing like a conversation or something, like while I was remote viewing, and I wrote take me back, and then I wrote to the beginning, take me back to the beginning. World War I was in my data. World War I, Stargate, jump room, consciousness, and then I wrote something kind of round. It almost looks like a doorway or something. This is my drawing right there. That was my drawing for the first page.
Don't you think that looks amazingly like one of those things?
It does. It does. It does a whole lot, actually. What do you think so far about the first? Because I only got 2 pages of data for this one. Okay. What do you think so far?
I think it's interesting you got jump room in there. Where'd that come from? You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Stargate and jump room. And that is kind of actually what I think that I was kind of like seeing when I drew that was like a Stargate. Like that doorway right there. It kind of, to me, I was, what I was seeing felt like a Stargate, and that's what I drew, I think. So, but anyways, but
wow.
it doesn't matter what I think I'm drawing.
So
ultimately,
so are you saying that the data is showing you that this could also be used for transport? That's what you're saying, yes. Right?
I mean, that's according to my data. Yeah.
You know what's real crazy? When you say that, I started. It's weird because okay, it is what it is, man. Gosh, I feel like an idiot for saying this, but spirit communicates with me by scenes of movies. Okay, that's just how it works. It took me a lifetime to accept that. Okay, could never accept it. But as you said that, I immediately got a scene and something came to my mind immediately. Okay, and the brain communicates in images. As you're saying that, I'm seeing a scene from They Live. I know you like that movie. One movie
where the guy's got his glasses down. Yeah.
Yes. Towards the end of that, they show that these beings are from Andromeda, and how they're actually transporting here is by using a system that uses gravitational lensing. And they get from here to there immediately Andromeda. And you see somebody being transported. And when you start thinking of a being that would actually be able to use to destroy something or deflect something, it could be used to probably transport someone too. Yeah. Teleportation of a type. That's pretty transmit. Okay, I'm getting transmit device. That's pretty heavy, Jones. That's pretty heavy.
It is.
Like you say, it's just data, but it's good data, I think.
Yeah. Well, I've got another page of it, so let's get on to the next page. Okay. Ninja Box, Timo. That's so funny. I like that. Is it a beam me up transporter? Transporter. Could be.
Okay, since that person said that, one last thing, just one thing, and I'll shut up. But that movie I talked about, the Star Trek, well, I can't remember the name of that episode. It's with Gary Seven, but it's the one that Terry Garr was in. She was in it, never in another Star Trek. Terry Garr was in that one. But you know how they actually got a hold of this person who had been bred off planet? Was he was being beamed to Earth from somewhere that's almost across the galaxy. And they were saying it's impossible for a transporter beam to come from that far. And they intercepted it. And he was saying, I'm on a mission. But anyway, when you start thinking about that and correlating that, something that might be hidden with these domes that they could possibly have been a transported system too, meaning that they were multifunctional, I guess. That's fascinating. Sorry, so go for the next one. I'm with you.
Barry, I'm here to chew gum and kick ass. I'm all out of bubble gum. Just kidding.
Something everybody forgets about that movie. When they were wearing those glasses, they were getting like real high. They're getting jacked up, man.
Yeah?
They are? Oh, man. Yeah, it was doing something. It was doing something, endorphins or something. Anyway, let's get that next page.
Okay. So on the second page of my data, I wrote semi-sensory data was like overpowered. And then I wrote down for my analytic overlay was power up, operations, MO or modus operandi is what I wrote down, MO. And then I was seeing turbine. I actually wrote it from one of my tangibles, which is like, what am I seeing that like I could touch, right? Turbines, spinning and moving turbines. Like I was seeing something like an engine. I wrote an engine and power generator is what I wrote down. Engine, power generator. And then I kept drawing all these circular patterns, these circles. And so like I wrote them 3 times. So there's 1 and then 2 right there. So I'm writing like these little circular things all over my page.
No, keep going, keep going. I won't interrupt you. Keep going.
I love it. Okay.
It's amazing. As much as you're into something, I'm
Yeah.
surprised you're not seeing it, are you?
Well,
Are you seeing it?
I've got more. No, I am seeing it because the next thing I wrote down was creating energy flow. And so I'm writing it. So it says creating energy flow. So engine power generator, turbine spinning, moving, creating energy flow. And this, when I drew all the circles, it's like going in and going out, going in and going out is what I wrote. Like in and out. See, that's what I was seeing right there. In and out. And something going in, something going out of like some kind of, I wrote turbine. I don't even know what a damn turbine is. Okay. But it's something to do with an engine. Okay. I do know what a turbine is, a turbine, but okay. So I wrote tired. Okay. So I'm drawing this, and Barry, let me tell you what I saw in my mind. So what I'm sensing is, you've ever seen those videos of the astronauts who are training in those G-force simulators, and their faces look like they go from being like a 20-year-old beautiful woman to looking like a 90-year-old grandma with their face like melting. It's like their faces melt. It's like a woman. There's women, there's men. I mean, I don't know if like the Air Force uses these or if it's like NASA or what, but it's like people getting these G-force simulator things, and like a lot of them pass out. But look at this drawing that I made, because I kept seeing these people's faces. They were in these like G-force simulator things. And I drew that face. Look at that. It's like all wrinkled and it's like sad.
It looks like a skeleton with the sad face.
No, it does.
Keep going.
I was seeing. That's what I was seeing, though. I was seeing like I kept seeing that one woman that I've always seen whenever they show these videos of like astronauts that are training to go to space and stuff. There's like this decent looking, brunette woman who's like in that simulator, and it's like she gets these bags under her eyes, and like her face starts to droop, and she's like, it's rough, man. It's rough. I'm not. No shade, man. I'm just saying.
What's the movie with Schwarzenegger?
I was drawing her.
Total Recall, when they get knocked down on like the surface of the planet, and they start like that. That's what it reminds me of.
That's what I drew. I drew that woman's face as well as I could from what I could recall. That's what I was seeing, though. So it was like there was something going on where there was like G-force involved or something, because that's what I was seeing.
I'm seeing completely. I'm with you all the way. So is that the rest of the information on there?
No, I've still got more.
Yeah, keep going. Yeah, because I'm gonna tell you what I'm seeing completely, and it's just odd. You must be seeing. Maybe you'll say it at the end, because as much as a absolute fanatic you are about this, I'm surprised you're not already saying it and seeing it.
Okay.
But keep going.
Okay. So I'm seeing
exciting. This is exciting.
It is, right? So creating energy flow, tired and heavy. I started seeing I wrote gravitational pull, gravitational force, G-force, face distortion. And then I was seeing something that was oblong and oval, and I wrote vibrational. And then I ended the target because I was like, this is freaking weird. I'm seeing people's faces melting and stuff. I'm going to get out of this one. But now it makes sense, because it seems as though it might have been something to do with real G-force and space travel, time travel. I don't freaking know. What am I missing, Barry?
Okay, look.
What am I missing?
What you just described.
Yeah.
What you just drew. All three of those look very much not like just a Mako, but what I would call a cyclotron.
Yes, it was like,
which is a hadron collider. Okay. That's you're describing. You're describing a hadron collider. And the colliding particles and all that. That's what you're describing there.
Yes.
And not just that, someone who's inside being exposed to it and basically doing a total recall. That's what it sounds like. That's something that, I mean, to some degree, that's what it sounds like. And that's the method that must be being used for training. Yeah, stop! I start laughing.
I know, right? I gotta quit showing that. It looks like a meme. It's like a sad face meme.
I've almost ruined shows we've done because I can't stop laughing. Kind of like Mum-Ra for the Thundercats. He laughs himself out of his own plots. He reveals himself. He laughs so hard. He fouls his own self. Anyway, I think that you're describing, instead of maybe being just strictly gravitational lensing, they're using some type of the collider itself and some psychoexotic particle there to actually do transport too. That's that, and I mean, I say Hadron Collider, but when I was younger, they're called cyclotrons, and Hadron Collider is a version of that. They can go a little bit more or less. But anyway, it's I think that's really fascinating.
It is.
So describing almost a transport system more than a weapon system. What would you say? More of a weapon system or transport system? More. What would you say?
I would say more transport, I think, because I wasn't picking up any kind of like weaponry and stuff. I don't think. I was seeing, like I told you, I was seeing what I thought. See, and here's another thing too. I've been to Huntsville, Alabama, to the Space Center, the Huntsville Space Center. When I was in 6th grade, I went and I wrote this. I think it's called the Gravitron. It's like a cyclotron. It's this thing where you like go really fast and like your seat goes up and then it goes backwards and stuff. It's like you're hitting those G forces kind of. It's fun. I did that when I was a kid. But anyways, I was seeing like what looked like people being trained or in an actual, in an actual scenario where they were hitting G forces and like their bodies were experiencing that. And I didn't pick up, like I said, on any kind of war or weaponry and stuff, but it was definitely
pick up a jump room.
I did get a jump room. Yeah, I wrote down jump room.
Incorporate Stargate into the collider. You can incorporate all that.
Okay. Wow.
I mean, that goes far beyond the Tesla Howitzer scalar interferometer I was mentioning, which is the Star Wars program, or and along with the Tesla Death Ray and all those things. That's the interferometer. You had a guest on a few weeks ago, and the individual, I was listening to everything they were saying, and it was interesting. But one thing, they made a claim that like they flew in planes all the time that had scalar interferometers in them. I found that interesting when they just quoted that. That's that's interesting. So anyway, well, that's really interesting. So you're thinking more of a travel device.
That's what I think. Yeah, I mean, I really didn't pick up on any kind of, but it could be. I don't know.
Who knows what the transport systems were like when we were, quote, type 1, type 2 civilization here. We don't fully know. I was watching a thing earlier, Jessica. It was Gaia. It was a Gaia thing. I had a fairly negative experience with them a few years ago. That I don't watch their stuff very much, but they had Linda Moulton Howe on there. I don't like when people give me the run around, but anyway, Linda Moulton Howe was on there, and she was talking about this huge door to an octagonal structure in Antarctica, and made me think about the ones that you remote viewed that I given to you. But this one she was describing was just huge, like the size for giants.
Oh, giants, you say?
Yeah, and that that I find it interesting that that's starting to come up so much more prevalent now than ever before. The giants that have been here on this planet. And how much more different species are coming here that are just huge, like 25 plus that have been here before in the past, especially when I start talking about the Triangulum Galaxy that we never hear anything about. We hear about Andromeda. We hear about always Andromeda, everything, the Andromedans, which means nothing. That's a huge galaxy. But actually, you talk about one species, and people say Andromedans. That's like, where are the Andromeda? Told you before. That's like me saying, well, hey, Barry, where are you from? Hey, I'm a Milky Wayan. What does that mean?
Milky Way.
Where in the Milky Way? What does that mean? Anyway, just people. So you're thinking transport system.
I think so. I mean, that would just be my opinion. I don't know. The data doesn't really say. So I guess I would think transport, and it'd only be because what I was seeing seemed like there was like humans were inside these things. Whatever I was remote viewing, I was seeing like it looked like when the astronauts were training in those videos. So who knows?
Now, you brought up the Cyclops thing, right?
Yes, that's something else that's different, isn't it?
But you feel that those quote unquote robots were the cyborgs, right?
I guess so. The Cyclops, yeah.
Like last time,
That's
yeah,
that's what that man said, actually. Okay, so that is what that gentleman said. And if you want me to go back, I can read what he said.
Yeah, sure.
Let's see. Hold on, I think it's on this page. I can't see it so dark in here. Okay. Hold on. Got to go back to the first page. It's not on there. Okay. Okay. Oh, here we go. 1971. Two researchers from the town of Mearn met an old hunter in the area. They said that he'd found a 3-faceted large harpoon, and not far from there was a burrow made of iron with large, thin, one-eyed people wearing clothes of iron. So basically they were wearing armored suits, like a knight or a robot. I mean,
or hazmat,
or some sort of hazmat suit. But he said iron. He didn't say like thin metal. He was like iron. It was like hard. I mean, when I think of iron, I'm thinking of like a suit of armor or something, or robots. That's what he said. That's what he said. It's funny.
Fascinating. You know,
Yeah.
I don't want to take us too far down the rabbit hole. Well, why not? Who cares? I just find the Cyclops thing is interesting because that's just has come up recently and something I was checking out.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I get guided to things, all right, and I'm sure you remember the War of the Worlds, right?
Yes.
And if you really go back to the original War of the Worlds, I mean, even before the first movie was made,
mm-hmm.
Actually, the way they were described, these beings, they were described as being, these Martians were described as being somewhat octopus-like, and that they couldn't deal with Earth gravity. They were supposed to have a lighter gravity on Mars, and that they actually walk by using their tentacles, and they could not do that here. And so they crawled, actually. And then that's how the bacteria got them when they're crawling on the ground, too. All right? But anyway, and then over time, like by the time we got to the first movie, which I still think is a classic, but they changed the way that the Martians looked to being more these bigger things with these Cyclops eye. Okay, now here's why I bring this up. I get guided to things, and for some reason I was guided to start going back and looking at the War of the Worlds series. A lot of people probably don't remember when Fox first came forward. You had Married with Children and 21 Jump Street, a few others. And not for long after that, you had War of the Worlds, the series. It didn't last very long. But I get guided to this one episode, and they're going over the physiognomy of the Martians. And they changed it a little. This would say they're much more like jellyfish than mammals. And it made me start thinking about the jellyfish UFOs and things, but that they use actually osmosis to do a cell match and absorb themselves into people and to masquerade as people.
Ooh, that's
but
weird.
Then they start saying that they're like jellyfish and that they don't have any vertebrae or any skeletal sections or structure. And it was so fascinating. They went into some of their cellular stuff too, and how it was just fascinating. When I started thinking about some of the things about some of the beings that may have been here, they were saying, "Oh, they've been coming here for thousands of years. They were just using different ships that were less conspicuous before they came with the ones to take over." Yeah. So anyway, just doing it. I'm always looking for little hidden gems in things that are really old like that. And when it starts dealing with that type of, when dealing with not just people are so fascinated with the octopus right now and what it's capable of, and that it has non-human, non-terrestrial genes. Okay, people don't really look at the jellyfish as much, I don't think, and it's too much dismissed as it's just a nervous system they have that reacts similar to mycelium, but there's no conscious thought there. Are they sure about that? And what happens when you start getting something like that that's developing in something in a different environment like Europa or somewhere that's based on, more on sulfur instead of what we have here. Different things like that. Then we start looking to what astrospeleologists start saying. Read some of their papers. You can understand it's kind of weird stuff. But I mean, what they start thinking, what is life in those caves, it's similar to like the extremophiles we have here on Earth living in the vents of like the Mariana Trench and place like that. Stuff like that. We start thinking about life and contact. We start taking a little bit broader, I think. We start looking at the microscopic world, especially. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Wow, that's pretty fascinating. Yeah, you'd sent me that thing about the jellyfish UFO, and we did a show on that. I'm pretty sure we did that show together, where I had remote viewed that jellyfish UFO. That was a big deal. Was that last year? It wasn't that long ago.
It makes me wonder, though, are you dealing with, in a case like that, are you dealing with a life form or a ship or both? An organism that's being used for a ship by other entities that might be microscopic, but very advanced on the collective conscious level, more so than us. But we just don't think in that way. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Different parameters for life. Instead, we tend to go too much with the humanoid forms. At least something that's bipedal or somewhat close to us. We're more comfortable with that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. For sure. Yeah, we do identify with things walking on two legs more. Yeah. This has been a fascinating target, Barry. That one was a really good one. I think it was a really good one. And it all came from that video about you all deserve to be whipped. You need a whipping.
That, man, I'll tell you,
that Earthlings need to be whipped.
I mean, when you said that, because it was pretty late, I said that, I was like, whoa. I mean, it was like, but sometimes spirit just slaps the brother around. You know what I mean? Like, okay, I'm supposed to send that. Definitely.
I couldn't help but send that to you. I thought it was crazy. I was like, what in the world is this?
It had me. Well, that's the first time I wondered, well, damn, maybe it is real. Maybe they are real. Because sometimes, I'm kind of a hard sell on a lot of stuff. And that's why I like doing these targets with you, because it makes me more of a believer in some things that I maybe was not prior. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then again, I was Earth as a prison guy until the data from my work turned me. I couldn't help it. I had to change my opinion. You know what I mean? Which was crazy. That was hard. That was a hard crow to eat. I ate a lot of crow on that. Anyway, you want to go over that other one a little bit now?
Yeah. I definitely want to talk about the next one too, because we have another target, y'all. The Devil's Tramping Ground in North Carolina. Okay, what is causing this area? There's a perfect circle in the ground with no vegetation growth on it. Animals avoid it. They say that the devil walks in circles around this thing at night, and it's got a lot of anomalies. People hear strange sounds out in the woods around it. And now it is on private, I guess it's private land. Somebody's purchased this land. I don't know if it was always private or not. I'm not sure. But there's actually, let me pull up these websites. We'll share the screen before we get into the data and look into this a little bit. Let's see. Let's look at the Wikipedia page first. How about that? And let's see what Wikipedia says about it. And I'm assuming, let's see if y'all can see this. Oh yeah, y'all can see it. Okay, so the Devil's Tramping Ground, alternatively called Devil's Stomping Ground, is a camping spot located in the forest near Harper's Crossroads area in Bear Creek, North Carolina. It's been the subject of persistent local legend and lore, which frequently allege that the devil tramps and haunts a barren circle in the ground, which nothing is supposed to grow. It has frequently been noted on lists of unusual place names. And let's see some of the lore. Legends about this ring are well known by the locals. They include disappearance of objects left within the ring overnight, dogs yipping and howling, not wanting to go anywhere near it, and strange events occurring to those who spend the night within its boundaries. I would never sleep in that thing. I'm just saying. It's been alleged that nothing has grown within the 40 feet or 12-meter ring for 100 years. Supposedly, it is where the devil walks in circles on certain nights, thinking of ways to bring his evil into the world. And there is a journalist from the early 1900s. He passed away in 1985, named John William Hardin. And this is what he said about it. Chatham natives say, this is in Chatham County, North Carolina, that the devil goes there to walk in circles as he thinks up new means of causing trouble for humanity. Sometimes during the dark of night, the majesty of the underworld of evil silently tramps around that bare circle, thinking, plotting, and planning against good in behalf of wrong. Okay, well, it's mentioned in several horror movies or novels, I guess, and I don't know. It's become kind of like a destination place for some people if they want to go camping there. I mean, if you ask me, I would say it probably has some. It's obviously got local legends around the area. This is in the heart of the Appalachian Mountains, Barry, and I'll pull up a map so we can all see what it looks like on a map. I have a hard time seeing y'all. Okay. I have rules and regulations here also of like, there's a website where of the campground, if you guys want to go camping there. Now, this is actually where it is on the map in the middle of North Carolina. It says Bear Creek. Just if you guys are wondering where exactly it is. Like I said, it is in the heart of the Appalachian Mountains right there. And let's stop sharing this one. I'll pull up another one. Pull up one more website. And so you guys can get an all-around view. This is the website. If you guys want to go camping there, look up the original devil's tramping ground.com. Okay. And you can go, and they've got some rules there. You got to make reservations. Don't make a whole bunch of noise out there. They got quiet hours, tent camping only. No vehicles are allowed at the site. And no camping in the circle. All tents must be placed on the perimeter. No campfires in the circle. Portable grills are recommended. But just normal camp stuff, basically, normal camp rules. But you cannot camp inside the circle. And not sure. Maybe they know something we don't. Okay. Maybe so. But if you guys want to go to this website and make you a reservation, I do believe you can make, you can do booking right here. So that's their phone number out there. You guys give them a call and go do. It's only $15 per person. I think that would actually be a cool place to go camping, Barry. But I'm weird like that. So
it'd be interesting.
Would you go camping there, Barry? Would you go camping if you had let's just say you had like a luxurious camping trailer, like an RV? Would you go camping there?
Oh, if we had RV, yeah, that's different. some conveniences.
Yes.
no.
They had something nice.
Like I was a Cub Scout. Yeah, I'd be up for it. I'd be up for a whole lot of stuff in that case. Yeah.
Right.
Until you start getting all those wraps on the side of the thing, right, all night long, where you can't sleep, right?
Oh yeah, Jane says no, thank you. I'm staying home. Yeah, with a name like the Devil's Tramping Ground, that just makes it seem way worse, I think, than it probably is. And that probably has to do with the local legend and lore out there, of course.
Well, since it's got the word devil in it, there's no missing person cluster around there, is there?
Ooh, I don't know. Let's look at the map. Good question.
Is always saying that the police places that carry the name devil with them, you've got missing clusters around them.
Oh my gosh.
Near them, I should say.
There's, hold on, let me get this map up. This is the old map. Okay. Oh, absolutely. Oh my God, look at that huge cluster right there where it's at. That's a huge cluster right there. Oh my gosh. Good call, Barry. Good call. That's a huge cluster right there, like on the East Coast down there, like right above Georgia, right where y'all know where North Carolina is. That's actually one of the bigger clusters on the East Coast. Good.
Jessica, I got another question too.
Oh my gosh. Good call, Barry.
Did you see anything? Thanks. Did you see anything about a radiation count taken inside the circle?
That's exactly. No, I didn't. And I was wondering the exact same thing when I was looking this up today. I was like, somebody had to take a Geiger counter out there. And I'm sure they have, but I couldn't find where anybody had. It's more like I might want to say like a tourist kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like they're like ghost hunters that go out there. And I'm sure there's a lot of different people that go out there to investigate, but I couldn't find where anybody had taken any radiation samples.
Isn't that interesting?
Or any measurements. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That was one of the first things I thought of today when I pulled this up, because I started making the connections to this target with the Siberian Cauldrons in so many different ways, because they said the dogs wouldn't go near it. The animals will not go near these cauldrons. And I was like, well, that's the same with the devil's stomping ground, the devil's tramping ground, and with Mel's hole.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, what on earth is preventing these animals from getting near these things?
Well, there's also, you got that phenomenon now, knowing that we know the information, the data concerning Mel's holes shows that it was actually a Tipler cylinder is what it is, which means it's actually rotating space and time. A rotating cylinder is what Mel's hole is. And it's interesting, we think about how really the Earth turns so much that we don't feel, and how fast it's turning. So it's making a Tipler cylinder that would seem like it's not moving to us is not impossible. You know what I'm saying? But also the reason why I bring that up, there's been count of like black light and things coming out of Mel's hole, shooting out of there, and radiation counts and stuff like that. Yeah. So it's kind of interesting like that.
Well,
Really is.
Yeah, it is super interesting. And we're just ultimately trying to get to the bottom of this stuff. Like what would be the reason animals don't want to go near these things? They are telepathic. I think it was Angelique just said that. Somebody just said that. I just had it up on the screen. Yes, animals. It was Angelique. Thank you. Animals are telepathic. Yes, they sense things that humans don't. Right. And the darkness. Thank you, William. Yes, thank you for being here. Darkness, everybody. Isn't that like Charlie Murphy or something from Dave Chappelle? That was great. Okay, but anyways. Okay, let's get into the data for the devil's stomping ground, or the devil's tramping ground. It's known as both. Okay, it's known as both. I wrote it in the for the show tonight. It's the devil's tramping ground. Okay, but you can call it the stomping ground as well. Tramping or stomping, I don't know. Okay, so I had actually remote viewed this a long time ago, and then I was given it this as a target again. So I've remote viewed it twice, but I couldn't find the data from a long time ago. But I found the data from this year. It was in February of this year. I remote viewed this. Okay, so let's get into it. All right, so the sensory data for the devil's tramping ground, which is this is the picture of it. If you guys, anybody just tuned in, it's just a circular area in the woods that nothing grows on whatsoever. Animals don't want to go near it. People say the devil stomps around out there at night, and paranormal, supernatural things happen often at that place. Okay, so my data.
I have to wonder: has anybody actually seen a devil, or a demon in the circle?
Ooh, there's actually a video that I saw where there was a person taking a video there, and as they move, it was like a guy talking in front of the circle, and his friend was filming him, and he kind of panned the camera out, and there was like a ghostly figure standing behind him. So there is that. So I think it's like a lot of ghost activity that I've seen people document there, spirits and stuff. There's definitely a Native American vibe going on there. Okay, as well. I think that's in my data actually. Okay, so here's the sensory data, and then we'll get into the analytic overlay. Okay, sensory data is round, stiff, subtle, circular, close, spinning, energized, long, above, packed, tight, abstract, and enigmatic. Like an enigma, but enigmatic. All right, so some of the analytic overlay is subtle energy shift, off kilter, roundabout, vortex, and tornado were two of the things I wrote down. Vortex and tornado, because that's what I was seeing. I saw like what something was like coming out of the ground or either going into the ground. I couldn't tell because I was like it was either going up or going down, but it was something circulating and going up and then going down. And so I wrote circulating air and energy. So either circulating air or circulating energy.
Wow, really?
Mm-hmm. And then I wrote take turns and then portal with a question mark beside it. Take turns, portal. And then I wrote tree portal. So tree portal, And then I wrote packed in tightly. And then I wrote for my AI because I had a whiff of roses, which was weird. I smelled flowers while I was remote viewing this. I wrote down floral smell, flowers. And so that made me think that I was like outside somewhere in nature. So I wrote down nature and natural, enigma and cryptids is what I wrote down. And then for my drawing for this one, I drew what looks like a vortex. Okay, it's like something like, and it's just this right here, just like that line. And then going, that's my drawing. The other is my ideogram. Okay, but it's like what I was seeing was like a tornado or a vortex. And then I wrote the line going down, like there was something like energy or something going from the sky down to the ground. But then I was like, well, I don't know. Maybe it was going from the ground to the sky. Do you know what I mean? Because it was like spinning up and down, up and down. So that was my first page of data. What do you think so far, Barry?
One question: do you think it was going up or coming down? Which direction?
I think it was both. Well, I drew an arrow. I drew an arrow going down. So when I was remote viewing it, I would assume that it was going down into the ground. Yeah.
No, honestly, from that, the things that stick out to me the most is when you're talking about the circulation. Okay. And when dealing with that, because not just you kept saying wind, you're focusing on that. You said circulating energy. Okay. Yes. What that takes me to is, I mentioned this earlier in some way concerning the other, but circulating light beams. Okay. That's a form of time technology, time science and time technology. Okay. Which is circulating light beams that are turned in a certain way that they create a spinning vortex like that creates closed time-like curves and time travel. Okay. And also capable of matter transport. Now, for a little bit of people that want to look this up, so I'm not just talking, there's individual Dr. Ron Mallett. He's starting to be on Ancient Aliens now, oddly enough. But 15 years ago, nobody was listening to what his brother was saying. But anyway, he's University of Connecticut. He's made actually what he calls a time device, okay, which is basically dealing with quantum tunneling, sending information backwards through time. And what he has constructed, this device, is circulating light beams or laser beams. Okay, yeah. He's circulating laser beams. So anybody can look up his deal and look up his machine actually, and that's what he's using to try to create quantum tunneling and in that way. So it's very interesting. But what you're describing there, when you're saying that, is quite similar. And there's been some discussion of exactly also is somehow the plasma spheres that make the crop circles sometimes are using circulated light beams also, along with plasma to make the circles themselves. That's how they're being done in a way by these plasma spheres. Mm-hmm. And some of the symptoms that you're talking about in that circle sounds like the real crop circles too. A few things, not all of it, but a few things. When you start thinking about the bit stems and all the stuff that's fascinating. But in that way, I see why you're bringing that up, a transport type of system, and comparing that to the domes. Mm-hmm. That's really interesting, Jessica. Good job.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
You can't make that stuff up. It is what it is.
Yeah. Well, and the energy circulating stuff too is like in those domes, right? So it's like the Siberian thing. I mean, I don't know, whatever. It wasn't just the animals that was like making me, the animals avoiding this area, it made me connected to the Siberian dome. There's a lot of, I've got more data. I've got 2 more pages of data here. So there's actually more that connects it to those Siberian domes, I think.
And, circulating light beams. And then again, we just talked about Mel's hole being a Tipler cylinder.
Yeah.
Tipler time science. Okay. Mike Tipler was his name. But anyway, that along with the circulating light beams, you're dealing with 2 different types of time technology that are quite similar. You know what I mean? Yeah. Superluminal type of.
Whoa. Yeah.
We start dealing with, what would be special relativity opposed to general relativity, and it's low power. That can be done with low power. And that's what, so that takes things like the antimatter explosion and all that, it takes that out when you start dealing with, more general relativity. It's fascinating. So anyway, keep going. Another information. I think that was a pretty big find for just the first page. I can't wait to see what the rest is.
Yeah, for sure. Well, okay, so on on my stage 4 data, I wrote substantial and curvy, and I wrote frequency and box. That was my analytic overlay. And then I was seeing these like shapes. So I guess I'll show you what shapes I was seeing. It was another, I've seen this in remote viewing before. It's like a triangle with a circle in it. And then I wrote a circle with a square around it. So I don't really know what this means. But you can see those. I mean, it's some sort of geometrical shapes I drew. And it was 2 circles, though. Got to give them that. There's definitely circles in there, but I don't know if that means anything other than I wrote triangular, square, circle, vast, open. And then I was picking up on trees. And so then I wrote woods, forest, because I felt like I was in a forest, and I wrote camping trip, hiking, mountains, sublease, and leased land. So I felt like I was on some kind of leased land in the woods. Like I felt like I was on some kind of government land, like a national forest or something, basically. And so that was my second page of data. Basically, I was picking up that I was in the woods, basically, on that page. Now, this is where it gets really weird and interesting. This is my favorite page right here, actually, because I wrote down farm. Because then I was like, well, I felt like I might be like in a national forest or something. I didn't write that down, but I was feeling like maybe I was in some kind of a forest or something. I did write that down. But then on the third page, I wrote farm. Like maybe I was at a farm. And then I wrote scared. And then I saw a ghost. I wrote ghost spirit, scary events, ghost for my analytic overlay. And then I wrote for my sensor data, elderly. And then for my analytic overlay, I wrote elder. And then I was picking up on what I wrote down specifically was Native American vibe, dark woods. So I was getting a Native American vibe, dark woods, and guess what I wrote down next? Spearfinger. I was Spearfinger for Halloween, by the way. Okay, I actually dressed up like Spearfinger. The witch. Yeah, I wrote down Spearfinger witch. Is what I wrote down, and then I wrote down Cashers, North Carolina, which is really cool because I don't know where Cashers is compared to Bear Creek, but it's somewhere not too far from there probably. And I was picking up on Cashers, North Carolina, Spearfinger witch, skyships over Cashers, and then I drew what I thought was a UFO. It was just a circle. That's all I drew, was a circle. But I wrote craft or what I write? Craft or orb with a question mark beside both of them. Because there was something round. It was another round. I was just writing a whole bunch of circles in this data. And I wrote craft orb ET UFO. And then I closed the target down. I closed the session down after that. So I think it's interesting because I picked up on ghosts, a witch, Spearfinger, UFOs and orbs and ETs. And I did see people in the chat were actually saying, well, maybe there was some like toxic chemicals spilt there or somebody dumped some chemicals. Absolutely could. That would keep animals away from that area probably too, but that's not what my data says. But William says the pyramid with the circle, not a triangle, the cube with the circle, not square. Think above 3D, three-dimensional. So it's above three-dimensional. Thank you, William. Good points. Spearfinger. So, what do you think?
Let me ask you a question. So, do you think Spearfinger is an alien, an extraterrestrial?
Oh, ooh, that's interesting. I never have before. But anything's possible.
Could it be extraterrestrial? Could it be using a screen memory as well?
Yeah. Man, the head of my research team always says all roads lead back to ETs. So even with that,
recently I just got done speaking a little bit about the lady in white, and that's not exactly Spearfinger, but it's interesting how often she's seen with Sasquatch and with other cryptids. And I was actually talking about death defiers, which were a type of warriors. There are a couple of different sects of warriors that were able to escape the death process. And this was a certain type of death defier that I was actually talking about. And it's the ones that would bury themselves. They could change their energy configuration. They buried themselves alive, and then kind of move their sandwich point, their point of perception, to that with the earth. So they exist in the same matrix as the earth now. And as long as the earth exists, so will they. But you can see these individual new power spots in deserts at power spots. And that's where where they're buried, actually. And I had a client, oh gosh, this is going back like 2003 or 4. And he was from Sonora. His family had moved here. But he would talk about, he'd talk about out in the desert out there, they were told as kids they could never go play out there after dark. And especially because he would see these forms moving around out there in the desert, he said. And his parents said that they were spirits. And specifically the one they were supposed to avoid was, as he called it, La Blanca, the woman in white.
Oh.
Yeah, it's quite interesting when a kid, about 16, 17 is telling you that they grew up there. You know what I mean? So it's real interesting. Anyway, food for thought. But that's again going back to the lady in white. And when he described these beings walking around the desert out there, that's what some of the Toltecs said that these death defiers would do. They walked out in the desert like that. You know, I got a friend that's doing a lot of stuff on mermaids right now, and it's fascinating. I found out watching one of their video actually today that a lot of that stuff about people eating mermaids, that comes from the Caribbean. Do you know that?
Oh my God! I just talked about that yesterday.
Yeah,
and I was on my friend Veronica's show, and we talked about mermaids being eaten.
Well, it's interesting because there's this lady, this younger sister, and she says that she's she's somewhere, and there's always this guy looking at her with his mouth open, and it made her very uncomfortable. And finally, he comes up to her and says, "I thought you probably died." And she's like, "What?" He said, "I've never met you before. I've never even been to the city or whatever." And he starts saying, "That's impossible. I thought you died," because he starts saying that you're that mermaid that I saved in the net. This guy was sort of a fisherman of a certain type. He brings up this net, and there's this mermaid in there. And before he tells her that, he shows her this necklace. He said, "You gave me this necklace," and she's like, "I've never seen that necklace." And he says that when he pulled this mermaid out, let her go, and she gave him this necklace for helping. And he tells the woman, he says, "Man," he starts crying. Says, "She looked identical to you, your face." Whoa. I mean, it's quite interesting. It's just like a 3-parter that my friend had done on that. And it's we start getting the stuff in that, but then they start supposedly this individual was getting telepathic thought from her saying, "Please help. They're eating my family."
Oh.
And then it goes into what you're talking about, that whole thing. And then the individual said that they start talking about these certain, restaurants somewhere in California that supposedly are serving mermaid.
Yeah.
To keep the elite young. Something about the meat keeps their biological aging back. I don't know. You were the first person I ever heard talking about that, okay? And then it came up today, but I found it fascinating that what is so much consistent with melanated mermaids, a melanated Caribbean type of talk. It's still different than what we hear, but it doesn't always go mainstream. So anyway, it's food for thought on that. Sorry, I don't want to take us off that. I've already been talking about jellyfish. No,
it's interesting.
And Martians.
No, I think it's pretty interesting. Bigfoot Dwarf says mermaid ceviche. Golly, that's terrible. But going back to what William just had posted a while ago, I wanted to mention this. Spearfinger. Okay, this is William Nighthawk says, Spearfinger is not human anymore, traveling to and from the dark cube of its realm to the pyramid gateway of our world. That's interesting because that's what those 2 drawings were that I drew. The pyramid. What does that say? the dark cube of its realm to the pyramid gateway. Well, hold on, where are they at? Right there. The pyramid gateway and the dark cube gateway as well. That could be what I was drawing. That could be what I was drawing right there. I don't know. Maybe I'm reaching a little bit, but I don't know. I don't know. Maybe that's what that is. Thank you, William. Yeah. Let's see. Meme says, also, Jessica, we in Jamaica got a lot of mermaid lore. Do you live in Jamaica, Meme? That's awesome.
I hear a lot. I hear
Yeah.
a lot of. In fact, my friends are talking a lot about that over there. A lot of it. Yeah, around like even places like the more tourist places like what St. Thomas, everywhere, right?
St. Thomas, yeah, St. Croix. I went to St. Croix on my honeymoon. I remember that. Yes. Yeah, there was actually there was some guy who was like an actor or something. I don't remember, but he said that he was down in I want to say Jamaica or somewhere. He was on vacation and he said that he went out, him and some kid like went out to the bay or the lagoon or something, and there was a mermaid out there. Do you remember that?
Tony
yeah.
Tony Black, what's his name? Tony something. Oh yeah, that's been out for a while.
Yeah.
And that's a great one there. And he was saying that we saw a fish man. He started like tripping, but the way he describes that fish man, it takes us much more to the way they're described, aka aquatic ape theory. But that just got so much dismissed because that blasted thing on the planet, Animal Planet, that documentary is a bunch of crap. It's a bunch of crisis actors and other things, but they that kind of muddied the water. But aquatic ape theory is a real thing, and especially when dealing with species that maybe didn't have nearly about the land that we have here, which wasn't that much back then, or the different species that come here. I was just recently talking about the different type of craft. What would a craft, an aquatic craft, look like from a species that was from aquatics? Totally different thing. Would it look like what is called by Louis Franks the cosmic balls, which look a lot like what was around the tether, the NASA tether incident? You remember those things swarming around that tether? They look like these cosmic balls, kind of. Or I thought, like, was that the Nomo coming back? Their ship was described looking like that too. So it's food for thought. We need to. Anyway, but going back to what we were talking about, there were this weapon system. I guess it's not a weapon system. I guess it's a transport system. But fascinating. It's still fascinating to me, nonetheless. You're tying that into jump rooms, cyclotrons. Maybe some of these sciences are not the separate things that we still think they are.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe so. I think all of this is so cool. And the fact that we're able to connect some dots here is just blowing my mind tonight. I know Corey said his mind was blown a while ago. And,
you mentioned something. I remember a machine, something like that. Where I live, there's a city over. We have, in fact, very close to here. It's a huge NASA place. It's called the Cosmosphere. And they had something like a gravitron in there.
A gravitron. I think that's what they called it in Huntsville. I don't know. Listen, it has been literally 40 years since I've been there almost. Okay. It's been a long time. Not to date myself, y'all. I'm just saying it's been a long time since I've been there. And so there's no telling if they still have it or if it's called that anymore, but it was called the gravitron, I'm pretty sure.
How old are you back then? 25, Jones?
It was a long time ago, man. It was the 80s.
But that takes us into something that I got harassed a little bit for my hypothesis and theory on this. That I think when you deal with Sasquatch, the fact that I think that other part of their mitochondrial DNA or whatever it is, I think they have the ability to control the gravitons of their body. And I think that's why sometimes you can see them move at speed like that. Also why sometimes the indentation that they leave is more than it should be, like they're doing it on purpose. You've heard that.
Wow.
But when you're dealing with graviton, and I mentioned this before, this is when people really started trying to clown on me, but there was a book that came out in the 90s. It was called The Science of Superman. These cats wrote. It's really pretty good. And trying to say scientifically what all about the powers of Kal-El holds up scientifically. Some things do, some don't. But like they bring up gravitons. If he's that dense, he would have to be able to control his gravitons, or otherwise, when he take one step, he'd go down to the center of the earth. Okay, so it's little things like that. But see some of the abilities that Sasquatch seem to have, and knowing that they have the ability to do more with their dream body and shift their cognitive awareness into the dream body, energy body, and start putting that over the physical body and things that the Toltecs and them were doing. Okay, we've had people that could do this. We always think that they couldn't. Is that even where people might have learned some of that? You know what I mean? But I think the ability to them control their gravitons is not a joke. I think maybe they can do that. Mm-hmm. Food for thought again. That doesn't mean I'm right, but we start dealing with beings that are truly masters of perception and awareness. It takes a lot of bets off the table, you know?
It does. Especially if we're talking about like Bigfoots and stuff. I mean, there are beings that have been here longer than probably us humans. You know what I mean? So they know how to do stuff that we don't. Okay. William says the pyramid has always been a gateway to our world, and the cube represents the realm dimension above ours. That's so cool. That is so cool. Did I read that a while ago?
The cube is also a primary form along with the pyramid, and along with the spiral also, and the helix that are formed that can bring energy from one universe to another, and also one dimension to another. You know what I mean? Like the cubes I saw on board the craft, but I'm being told it's not at all what other people are saying. It wasn't souls trapped in there. Okay, it wasn't part of Saturn. It was inertial damper that's collecting life energy through what we call the orgone process, okay, which is where they're extracting orgone life energy from actual water, okay, and then actually storing that within one of these cubes, then releasing that in an inertial damper faction around the skin of the craft. That is a gravity modification field. And I mentioned that before when I was on your show last time. I showed that picture of that UFO that you can actually see the gravity modification field being initiated around it, that dark void around that craft that I've shown before over. Anyway, and that's so that's just that's one of those things there, just to be aware of different shapes that are used to bring things from different realities into this one. It's very interesting. You know, the hexagon is another one. So when looking at C60, I've seen an engine or a piece of something that looked like a huge piece of C60. But it made me thinking, what's up with the honeycomb conjecture? Things like that just are worth us knowing. You know, why do bees use that formation to store energy itself? That's why it's universal form, you know? Let alone when you start dealing with other universes, you start dealing with some of them that are based on stuff like that, or a universe that's based on liquid metal. What do you get then when it comes to life forms? It goes way beyond Terminator 2. You know what I mean?
Way beyond the Terminator.
I can't play the hell out of that role. He's doing a bunch of Comic-Cons now. Good for him.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, so it's just, you know, food for thought. Or you actually get a universe, like William was saying, that's built on the pyramid, or one that's built on the cube. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, the pyramid.
One like what I've seen, that ship I've shown that morphed from being a UFO that I saw from a UFO looking like almost a metal type of a craft into being what is called a tripyramidal Merkabah. You know what I mean? But what it was doing was a pattern of unfoldment before it made that jump into another, went through Mako into another universe, another dimension, whatever, that's probably based on the crystalline, opposed to this universe. Our universe is based on the spin. You can see it all over, from the atom, the electron, all the way to the shape of the galaxies.
Wow.
Anyway, sorry, I'm going.
That's pretty awesome.
Nothing to do with metal stuff in the ground. I'm sorry. You know,
I like the science behind it.
I find that some people actually like it when you and I just talk anyway. It's not always so bad. But we stay on topic. We do pretty good.
We've already gone over the data, Barry. We're good.
Right on.
Listen, we're doing this for fun, so who gives a crap? Okay.
It is fun. You know, this is a fun target, I think. And again, I got more than what I bargained for, but hey, that's fun. You know what I mean? I'm pretty sure he was going to send me a thing with a bunch of blank paper. I didn't get nothing on this one, B. And also say, oh, it was a bad target to even suggest. But apparently not. And I owe it all to Rudolph.
Yep. For us needing to be whipped. Yes. We need whippings. We all need whippings. We've been bad boys and girls of the earth. So anyways, RJ, thank you so much for that super sticker. I appreciate that. It says, thank you for bringing such unique discussions. You keep curiosity alive, and I always enjoy it when Barry joins in. Thank you, RJ. That is very sweet of you. We appreciate your support. Thank you. Yeah. No, we do have a lot of fun, though. We do. So thank you.
Oh, wait a minute. I talked about that guy. I got it written down, mention the Cyclops and the Mars thing. Got it. Man, you know, maybe come join. I might go live this Sunday. And will you be able to be there?
I'm always there, Barry. Yeah, I'll make a way.
Sometimes you're out checking Sasquatch and making s'mores, so I don't know.
I don't know about this. Well, it's what do we have this weekend? I'm on Midwest Night Watchers this weekend. I think is that this? No, that's next weekend. That's next weekend. That's next Sunday. Yeah, not this weekend, but the next weekend.
Good people. I like them a lot. I'm thinking about talking about Cognify.
Okay. What is Cognify? What is that?
It's
for Sunday.
Yeah, it's this company, okay, and what they're doing is suggesting virtual prison, and the next evolution for us is virtual prisons. In terms of you get somebody in one of these machines and hook them up to the stuff, and they've got the technology. They're showing it in that commercial, in that advertisement. But what they'll do is actually, so you could be in there for like a day and be given like a 50-year sentence. You'll relive it all and be programmed in to your mind, and that way and that going to be using that for rehabilitation. And I'm going to bring that up because it's been really played around with science fiction for a long time. There's an episode of Star Trek Deep Space Nine, and it was called Hard Time. And on that, the guy that was Chief O'Brien was on the Next Generation too. He's on a planet on an away mission, and he does something. It's something like jaywalking or something. And they threw him in jail in that community, but the jail was mind augmentation. It's just like what they're talking about here. So they put him in, and he did like a 25-year sentence, but it was only mentally. He'd only been gone for a day or two. And when he comes back, though, he's suffering from all this PTSD for spending a whole lifetime in prison. And he can't like shake it. He's trying to go back to being normal. Yeah.
That sounds like the Secret Space Program kind of stuff.
Similar, but this is different in terms of actual prison, though. You're doing your prison thing. I'll tell you another science fiction show that, I don't want to say it, but I'm going to say it. Somebody's going to boo me on this one, I promise you. Because it was a sorry-ass movie. Excuse me, sorry movie. Knight Rider 2000. It came out like 1997 or so. Well, 1994 maybe. But anyway, Knight Rider 2000, that was all about, they were freezing criminals and giving them implanted memories, rehabilitation at the same time. And the half of that show was about, that's not working. The people are still coming out messed up, But anyway, just to see that actually being surfaced and being suggested the way it is now, Jessica, it takes it really in this whole neuroprogramming thing I'm talking about. I know it's not popular with a lot of people because they want the fantasy stuff, but right now we need to really start getting on a law that can stop this being experimented on people. So you don't have people that are claiming they're having the problems like our King claims. You know what I mean? He says it comes from that, and he describes all the stuff somebody would be suffering from that has been exposed to that. And now we've got companies like Mind Nexus that are doing clinics all around the country. They're getting well known. They're doing a thing with David Icke right now. Oh yeah. So I mean, it's a pretty cool. No, let me say it right. Icky, right? Wiki. I don't care.
No, David Icke.
Just kidding. I just harass you about. I don't care. I'm never super impressed with the guy. But he's got good info. he's down with Credo, so I'm down.
Yeah. Yeah, he just got his YouTube channel back actually because his videos he started posting videos. I was like, wow, he's been gone for years. He just kind of I guess a lot of people who were banned got reinstated on YouTube. So
what's the next algorithm they're gonna throw at everybody to suppress information?
God. Who knows? I have no idea. I have no idea. Mike Jones, what's up, cuz? Any updates or follow up on? I know his number 281-330-8004. Just kidding. That's in a song, y'all. In case you wonder about who Mike Jones is. Okay, but the other Mike Jones, who's here tonight. Any updates or follow up on the dwarf planets with the ET bases from 2 years ago? We did a remote viewing target on that. Cool. Yes, thank you, Mike. I don't have any updates. Do you, Barry? Have you heard anything?
No. I mean, it just kind of tied into like that, and the whole thing was series and all that type of stuff kind of tied in, But I think we could keep in mind how you can in the data time bomb. That's Earth. Ticking time bomb. That's Earth. And I'm hoping that maybe this whole change in consciousness, this whole shift, is just stopping that timeline. Because I've said this before, and it's true. You got to admit, it's coming up again. Nuclear war. We're hearing it a lot on this planet right now.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's a timeline that keeps getting reintroduced to us. We need to break that, go a different way.
Yeah, we can't, because we're going to start manifesting it. If they keep putting it in the collective consciousness and programming the minds of the masses, we gotta steer clear. We got to steer away from that. Okay.
It's that psychokinetic energy that's being generated to shift the timeline. Somehow that interacts with the mechanism that is time. I'm gonna say one last thing, and I'm gonna shut me mouth because somebody get mad at me already. Look, I've had enough sessions lately that I'll talk about it privately or on my deal probably Sunday, that I have been seeing SSP programming itself being used for screen memory for negative abductions by non-humans.
Wow.
And it's really odd because the hive mind will bring up experiences that are new for these people that are actually screen memories compared to and don't get me wrong, the abduction that when I get through the screen memory, it ain't nothing good. It's horrible negative stuff too. But the beings behind it that are prime intelligence are hiding themselves behind these different screen memories and these different programs that do exist. I'm not saying they don't, they do, but it's easy for them to put that up and kind of make these. It's something going on. I've become very, very concerned because the worst deal I could have given you was Trappist One. That was a bad target, man. I should have did that one because now
Why was it bad?
Well, because the slavery thing, I've always been aware of it, but it's just so much worse than I thought. When you saw that, and when I think what they're trying to do to us, to cage us as we're about to become type 1. We're getting very close. We're to that point where we'd be using our parent star for our prime power source, which is solar power here, but it's starting to get there. And then we start using actually space itself as a power source. Then we start using black holes themselves as power source as we start going through the types. So I mean, it's I see how they're trying to stop it. They're trying to impair all real contact that's going on, any positive. Okay, they're trying to train everybody with neuroprogramming and destroying people and generating screen memories and all these other things where people can't tell right from left,
Yeah.
And I'll tell you something. One of the individuals that I did several regressions with, that I told you they were one of these kids that was used to summon these ships, summon this demon from these ships that have several different species on it.
Demon? Where did the demon come from? What?
Well, check it out. This individual, I'm gonna see it. Maybe she'll come on your show. She started her own show. Maybe she'll come on. You do a killer show.
Okay, you tell.
Okay. So what happens is they're like several people I know now, including our king that got taken out of school in the gifted program.
The tag program.
Yeah, and yeah, this might have been tag or something similar. You know, we got all these little different euphemisms,
Uh-huh.
but they were taken out with several of the people, and they start testing them, and there's like 4 or 5 people that have the ability to go to the base that's not far from the school, to go to the base and start doing other exercises and stuff, and it's like a field trip type of thing. But that's when the screen memory started, okay? And they used this individual and these other 3 or 4 people because they were able to telepathically communicate with other species. Now that's the same thing that, of course, Corey Good had told me. You know what I mean? So that gives some validity to what he's saying. Not everything, but some things. You know. Anyway, what they were using for screen memory for this was a big candy machine, or like a spear of candy in it, where you have to try to guess how many are in there.
Yeah.
And if whoever got the closest, whoever gets the closest gets to keep the spear and all the candy.
Okay.
But this was a screen memory. It keeps coming up again and again, so much that it's interfering with the regression. So I can start picking it up real quick. Okay. In fact, immediately when I start talking about it, as much as they're focused on this damn gumball machine, the numbers in there. Okay. Get through that. And they're the ones that's describing first. They're this type of a goggles that's being put on these kids that are different than how do you say that word?
Dicyanin dye.
Yeah, similar but different, in that these were even a little bit beyond virtual reality, in that they're using particle synthesis. So the individual is saying, there's a complete alien environment here, and I can touch it.
Oh, wow.
And they're touching things. That's particle synthesis. So a jump room like in a visor, more or less, or a little beyond that. Okay, and then the other thing is, and when they're describing these other two of these kids that are in this program, they're twins, but they're sickly, like physically, but they're geniuses. Okay, but they have this ability to communicate. They take off 4 or 5 of these kids are in some type of a bunker, and in the middle of this bunker, it's open, and several craft come down. 1 and 2 then 3, and they come down however many, and they're similar craft, but they open up, and all these different beings get out and start forming circles. And this client to me, Jessica, described so many different beings. It was incredible. Some of them being ants that look like real ants, like big ants, highly sentient. Okay, different insectoids, different beings, some almost large amoeba-looking things, just different life forms. And then describing how a lot of them, they all turn their backs to these children. Okay. And the individual saying some of these species are very embarrassed to be here. It's like they're rogue. Really? And then that's when they had to do it. Then they're supposed to summon up this being. Okay. And they're the only ones that could do it. All these civilizations that have these rogues, these 4 ships have come down, because these 4 kids or 5 kids are the only ones that can summon this demonic personality. Ooh. I got a name. I took them deeper. Really? What's the name of this being? You know the name they gave me?
I wouldn't say it if it's a demon. That's not good.
I'll spell it.
Okay.
It's not very hard. B-A-A-L.
Oh, ball. Yeah. Oh no. Wait, that's what all these elites are like worshiping right now, right? Isn't that like? That's what all them elites.
We'll check it out. Then it goes further than that.
Elites.
The being comes. They call it. It shows.
Oh, it showed up.
And then screen memories start around this.
Oh my God.
Not through those. Okay.
Is it like a bull-headed humanoid or something?
First, they were seeing first what looked like a goat. The goat being the goat type of like satanic deal.
Oh, Baphomet.
You know what? Got through that screen memory, and you know what this being really looked like?
What?
A brilliant, bright light being.
Oh man.
A white light being, whitish color, very bright.
Oh man,
super bright. but it was projecting all these screen memories so the kids would see, demonic stuff. When in reality, that's not how it looked. When you talk about fallen ones, what do fallen ones really look like? You know what I'm saying? Just throwing it out there.
Yeah. And just think about how much loose they were getting off those kids too.
Yeah. I'll talk to her, see if she'll come on your show. You would do a great
interview. I would love that. Yes, please do.
It's cool because she's come forward, but nobody knows I work with this person.
Okay.
Yeah, we do probably 5 regressions, and they're all really good. Probably 3-4 hours each, but they were really good.
I would
and
love that.
Really, yeah. So I'm proud of anybody that can come to terms with that. And they were actually referred to me by Tony.
Tony Rodriguez. Nice, very nice. I remember you telling me about that. Okay, we've talked about it a little bit.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I love that. I think I've subscribed to her. She has a YouTube channel, and I've subscribed to it actually.
Yeah, that's her. That's her. Yeah.
Okay. We'll talk about it after the show tonight. How about that? Because I would love to get her on the show. Yeah.
Right on.
Man, I love that. Stuart says, Stuart F. Hellboy. What's up, Stuart? Lucifer means angel of light, and he can appear like lightning. Yeah. So that was Lucifer.
When dealing, okay, so that's something interesting. Okay, so when you look at this book and read this book, that's the way they're definitely described in this book as being light beings of that.
Mm-hmm.
And this book says something. And when your boy Ed Daves,
remote viewer extraordinaire,
when he did, and that's interesting. I can't find that anymore. On Art Bell, one of the old ones, he was talking about his team remote viewed Satan. He was talking about it. And he said that Lucifer and Satan aren't the same being. That's this book says. And he says we couldn't see Lucifer because he's so far away in like some sort of a prison or something. He's so far away we couldn't see him. But Satan comes to Earth. And we saw him running around, moving around, this light being moving around with scientists and stuff in some sort of a factory, advanced factory. And to me, after working with you, that screams underground base.
Antarctica. Yeah.
But this book, as many problems I have with this book, it says that. It says that Lucifer is on one of the prison worlds that's around Galactic Center, an architectural spear. And then it says in this book that Satan comes to Earth all the time. And it looks like a brilliant light being. You wouldn't take it to what it is. Food for thought. And it's interesting that Ed Dames, at first I was like, he read the Renta. He's why he's saying that. But it wasn't. It's the data they got, right? So
it's the data. Yeah. Well, after you've been working with the remote viewer for so long, you're like, it's the data. The data is the data, right? It's data. These are blind targets, Ed Dames, they're given coordinates just like me. And that's how they get all that information. It's hard to argue it, I guess. But yeah, man. A Patriot Starfighter says my ship is underground in a Palladium base in the Blue Ridge Mountains. There's a lot of bases in those Blue Ridge Mountains, by the way. And
where's is that Mississippi? Where's the Blue Ridge? Or is that
it's in Blue Ridge is that's down in Georgia and Tennessee and North Carolina. It would be like the Blue Ridge section. We have a Blue Ridge, Georgia, actually. Up in the North Georgia mountains, but it's mostly, I think Blue Ridge is mostly just North Carolina, Tennessee, and Georgia, or Georgia and North Carolina.
Are those the mountains I was seeing in Asheville? Or those
yes,
Blue Ridge?
you were at the Blue Ridge Mountains, 100%.
Well, I'll tell you, man, I would go hiking up in there, man. I'm sorry, even if I was experienced. I mean, that just looked like bear territory. I never seen so many bear signs in my entire life as was in Helen, Georgia. I like to go walk around at night. My butt didn't go walking around there.
Yeah, I'd rather encounter a Bigfoot than a bear in the middle of the woods.
Me too. Yeah. I mean, I have no problem with any animals, but I just rather let them do their thing, and I do mine. Live and let live, And then all the stories I was hearing, a lot of the people that were running the event were saying, last year I came out and there was a bear inside my cab over there trying to get the cooler out. Oh, God, great, man.
Like, what?
I was trying to go out and urinate. I was looking all around like, man. Anyway.
Oh, man. Yeah, it's a beautiful area up there. I have still never run into a bear. Ever. And I've been going those mountains for a long time. I mean, I've seen a bear before, but I've never ran into a bear when I was out bigfooting or anything. So
I will say this. What's interesting about that area where that conference was, it's very beautiful, but those mountains back there, those Sasquatch were somewhat open to that group because James Rink had took some people over there along with a lady that given me a ride a few times, did a session with me named Jan. And Jan was in some type of, we went to lunch and she was asking me a bunch of questions about Sasquatch. And I answered as much as I could, and then she started telling me later that she wanted to be in communication with them. And she did a deal with James. They went out there and they got some activity out there. And it's so interesting because the people are on a level of consciousness that I think the Sasquatch, although remaining invisible, decided to communicate a bit. And I think maybe that's what's happening on this planet. We're coming to that again, because that's happened once before with the Native Americans and ancient Africans quite a bit. So maybe it's something we're coming to now with certain types of Sasquatch, that is. It's just, we'll see. Time will tell if nothing else, I guess. We become type 1 civilization again. They can't be denied. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. What do you think about the latest 3-eye atlas pictures and information from NASA that they came out with yesterday, which was like nothing?
Oh, no.
What do you think?
I thought I was to get out of here with no 3-eye, man. I
had to ask. I had to ask. Well, you and I have covered 3-eye atlas, and I actually had my friend Nick Sylvester on the show yesterday, and I know you hopped in because you had to pull your car over and leave a comment yesterday.
Yeah,
so
I did.
That was funny.
That was great.
I know.
I almost got a wreck. I started laughing. I had people honking.
I'm glad I can entertain you. Be careful. Be cautious when you're driving, listening to me, y'all. Please.
I had to pull over the parking lot of Bradley Fair and look at a department store that's so expensive I couldn't even hardly see the coat they had in there. Well, I texted you because that was a trip, man. And you're right, man. You've seen it too. Some of these things are like being a member of the Boy Scouts again. We have just a little group of people that know each other, acknowledge each other, and give each other awards, pat each other on the back.
I'm just being honest. That's all.
Yeah.
But Nick set me up for that one. I don't know. He said something, and I was like, oh, whoops. Well, yeah.
See, I was driving. I was running errands, and when I got back in the car, I turned it on, and that's where you're at right there. I'm not trying to throw shade. So I had to say, she's throwing shade.
No, I was not. I was just making an observation. That's all. Because here, and you know what? Nothing bugs me like that usually, but I worked in politics. Okay. And like, I was noticing, like, instead of getting things done, people were like, and like helping people, which I was there to like, wanted to go help people and stuff in my position that I worked in, but yet all that some of the people that I worked with wanted to do was give each other awards all the time. And so I have a chip on my shoulder for that. And I used to complain about it all the time. And now I'm seeing it in my adult life here. And I'm like, okay, I'm sorry. It's the truth. It's okay. It's okay.
I can't get nothing done. All they want to do is give each other awards all the time. Okay, I can't take it, man. Don't worry. We gotta change the subject. Okay,
we gotta go. Well, we do have a question in the chat.
Oh my god,
we do have a question in the chat, Barry.
Oh yeah. Well, okay, sorry. I can't get it pulled together.
Rachel, thank you so much for the question. This is a wonderful question. I think a lot of people are wondering, what does Barry mean when he says type 1 civilization? I'm sorry. Look, and here's another thing, you guys, please be careful. Don't listen to my show while you're driving and then you have an accident, y'all. Please be careful. Drive at your own risk. Listen and drive at your own risk.
You got to tell me how Nick set you up sometime too. What did he say?
I'll probably give you more joy. I have to go back and watch it. It was funny.
Okay, sorry, Rachel.
Okay, so type 1 civilization.
Rachel, type 1 civilization. We're type 0 now, which means we're still using fossil fuels and things that will destroy our environment, okay, our planetary sphere. Type 1 civilization means we made the jump to where our prime power source is our parent star, the sun. So that's takes us into, not just solar power, but things even a little higher than that all involve free energy, 0-point energy, and sun energy. Type 2 civilization is when we start actually using space itself as a power source. And type 3 is when you start going to where they're actually using black holes themselves, like the Makos, as a power source. So that's when you start dealing with beings that, are controlling civilizations that are able to control the time-space continuum to a degree and taking it to a whole nother level. And also may only start existing within the Akashic records, aka the Mako itself. For us, because that's been so long ago, they may no longer be in existence as we know it, but they still exist in the Mako and the Akashic records. So that's type 1, 2, 3. Type 4, it starts going on up, to where you start getting beings that are probably on the pico and maybe not even physical anymore. So, and I wonder, well, how long before we go to type 1 civilization, how long before we change our containers to the next container for consciousness, which I think is energized plasma. And I think that's what sometimes we're seeing those things making the crop circles are. I think they're time travelers from the futures that are us, that are coming back trying to help. And I think they come from a part of our future where there's no longer DNA left to be human anymore, which takes us to another level, doesn't it? Anyway, sorry, I'm going too far with that. Mm-hmm. Hopefully that answers your question, though.
Oh, yeah. Also, Corey, this is the second time Corey asked. Corey, I was going to ask him. Don't worry. Okay. He wants to know if you happen to have gotten his email.
Yeah, I got him.
The photos with the amulet. There's something with an amulet.
I got him. I don't fully understand him. I got the skeleton key thing. It looks interesting. So is this a astral manifestation at that area you were taking pictures of? I got him. Yeah, cool. It's interesting. Yeah, it looked like it looks to me like an inorganic being of some type. And he was describing a hole in it that maybe looks like kind of like a skeleton key could fit in. But I did get him. Yeah. Thanks for sending them.
Awesome. Cosmic Joe, that's funny. Pico. I was thinking every time you say Pico, I think of Pico de Gallo, and it makes me hungry because I love Mexican.
Oh, no, Pico, P-I-C-O.
I know what you mean. But I'm just saying, every time you say it, I'm obviously hungry. And I think of Pico de Gallo. And I think about how good it is. It's like a salsa, and it's so good on top of steak. I'm just saying. My carne.
I guess I didn't come down south, man. I don't know nothing about no Waffle House. I don't got no Pico de Gallo, whatever. I didn't come down there. I didn't come down to Cobb County. Take me to where the boss man went to high school.
I'll take you. That's where I went and spoke at the library the other night.
That's really cool. I thought that was really cool.
Oh my gosh, yes. Man, this has been a really fantastic show tonight. And yes, William, I get hangry. I do get hangry. I need a Snickers sometimes because I'm just not feeling like myself. But not tonight. Actually, I have not had dinner yet. So we probably need to shut the show down because I will start getting hangry soon. And y'all don't want to see me like that.
I got this orange roughy. I had this huge lunch, like 4 big pieces of orange roughy. Don't see it around here a lot anymore.
What is orange roughy? Is that a fish?
Yeah, it's fish. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Put a little bit of lemon on that mug. A lot of pepper.
Orange roughy. Lemon pepper. Lemon pepper. Yes, that sounds good. I put lemon pepper on everything. Just about. I love lemon pepper, man. But anyways, I am hungry now. Thanks a lot.
Oh, everybody's going good fish. Tamales. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Thanks everybody in chat, too. Sorry I didn't really look over there. I was too busy laughing and being goofy. But it was a fun show, though. And informative.
It was. The Devil's Tramping Ground and the Siberian Cauldrons. I know I learned something tonight. I learned a lot of stuff tonight, Barry. And it has been a lot of fun. Tater logs, y'all. Thank you, Tyrone. Yes, tater logs, chicken fingers, and Vienna sausages. I don't have any of that here, but yes, I do have other foods. I do have other Southern fare over here. Okay. I have a fully loaded stuffed baked potato I'm about to go eat. That's what I'm going to eat tonight.
Sour cream?
I do have some sour cream too. It doesn't need any, but I've got some too. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of sour cream, a bunch of cheddar cheese.
Pico.
Oh man, that's nice. Yeah.
Yeah, some Pico de Gallo. I'll think of you guys when I'm putting Pico on it. Just kidding.
It was something I can't remember what it was. No, we talked about that. People getting sick. Oh yeah, we talked about the radiation thing.
Well,
That keeps coming up because wasn't it you and I that was talking about the black-eyed children last show?
we have
And
talked about black-eyed children.
The people that were getting sick when they get around them or get too close.
We've talked about it before. We didn't talk about it last time, but we've talked about it before.
Radiation garbage pail kids. That's what I think they are. I think they're the garbage pail kids of a different timeline. Yep.
Yeah. Well, and I have to wonder too about this Devil's Tramping Ground in North Carolina. I really would like to know if people have been taking Geiger meter readings out there and what the radiation spikes are in that area. Like, what is the radiation there? I think that's important. And
we could just ask Google, can't we?
I wouldn't mind riding out there one day. I might have to make a trip out there.
Devil's Triangle, right? Is that what you call
the Devil's Tramping Ground at Bear Creek, North Carolina. Barry's gonna ask, what is that called? Alexa or something? I do not have that on my phone because they spy on you.
I'm already screwed if that's the case. I'm getting all spied on for a minute. Right now, I'm just trying to just not get hit by directed energy weapons. Please no. You know what I mean? That's where we're at right now in this society. So
I'm just trying not to get hit by 3-Eye Atlas.
You said Devil's Circle. It's going in. It's going. It says no. That it's going to the Devil's Tower. Oh, Richard.
Also, that's a good question too, Jane. Also, what would a compass do there? Yeah, I want to see some hardcore research over there. Okay, maybe if nobody else is doing it, I'll go do it one day.
It would be interesting.
I don't know. But I don't know. You did see that big, gigantic cluster of missing people from right there on top of where the Devil's Tramping Ground is. Thank you for even thinking of that, Barry. I wasn't even thinking about that when I was researching today.
Pretty creepy too.
That's a huge. I mean, that's one of the bigger clusters of missing people that is on the East Coast, actually.
And you know what that means too. It means there's something underneath there, close to there. Almost I can't remember how many underground bases you saw last time. I remember there's the one that had the submarine access in Nevada, but you saw a couple others, maybe one near Dulce and others, right? You saw a few of them, I remember it.
Yeah, there was a fellow that went on Gaia or is on Coast to Coast, I think, with George Norrie, and it may have been John Lear, actually. Might have been Lear. But he was talking about all the submarine bases underneath the United States. I was like, dang. I sent that article out to a couple people. I was like, it wasn't an article, it was a video.
Who was that guy? I saw this clip of this dude the other day. I've seen him around before. I may have even seen him at a conference before. Like Boyd or something like that. He was on Gaia and he was talking about, it's the first person I've heard really describe what a trantiloid is supposed to look like. A trantiloid that was supposedly talked about in the debriefing paperwork to President Reagan. Linda Moulton Howe talks about it all the time, and she was the first one that was talking about these trantiloids. But I can never find a good illustration of them. They're supposed to not look like any insectoid here on Earth. And this guy had some drawings of them and showing this kind of cape thing that comes in the back of them, and they did look a little different. But here's what I found interesting, okay? Oh gosh, I should remember what this is called scientifically. But it's where a being can actually use its own waste products to recycle it so it doesn't need anything else to feed.
Oh, that
he
sounds
described
wonderful.
these trantiloids having these like pocket type things around their hips. Okay. And in these pockets is this recycled nutrition that are made into these balls. So I guess you could call them, I don't know, it wouldn't be defecation, but whatever it is.
It's
anyway.
Poop. I mean, just call it like it is. It's pockets for its own poop, so it can eat its poop. That's weird.
Yeah, and then they pull those out and actually eat the balls. But in that way, they never need any type of nourishment except for water. And it's so interesting because if you go back to Doctor Who, the Tom Baker ones that I like, my favorite doctor, his second episode was called Ark in Space. And they were fighting this beings called the Wirren that looked actually like Ichiman wasp that have the curled tails. You know what I'm talking about? That inject the eggs into the dead caterpillars. They're supposed to be similar to that, but the Wirren kept saying how they travel through space and they recycled all their stuff and needed no. It's quite interesting. You know what I mean? Just I see that coming up a lot. And I forgot what they're called scientifically.
Poop pockets.
No, it's not. I mean, it's not that. It's like called the system of what beings that do that, that use their own waste products to revitalize themselves.
Do you know what I've just realized that after the 2 hour mark, it's like after hours on the Cryptid Hunters channel. We talk about the weird stuff. You want to get really weird? Go about 2 hours in and after on our shows, me and Barry.
I think we talk about a lot of weird stuff, though. We're the kings of talking about weird stuff.
We are, but after the 2 hour point, it's off the rails. It's fun. It's fun. We talk about like really strange stuff, but I love it. I think it's great.
It's cool to take it off the narrow path. You know what I mean? We hear so much. We see it so much. People are talking about the same stuff, and it gets boring at a certain part. You know what I mean? It's like, how many of us need to talk about, past life trauma? That's like table talk now. You know what I mean? So we go to things a little different. Some of these things about Sasquatch and these different beings, transiloids, and all that. It's fascinating because I like due to personal experience, I'm interested in insectoid species. And how many on this planet are replicated galactically, universally? All of them, or just certain ones, or
Yeah, I don't know.
What are you laughing about? What are you goofing about?
Unforgiven says
the poop thing still.
No, they say Unforgiven says let Jessica eat, y'all. I gotta go eat. And now I'm thinking of the human centipede. Thank you, Night Drive Watch Baywatch. What is that? Night Drive Watch Baywatch. That is a hard name to say, but it is so good to see you here.
It's kind of cool.
Yes,
I used to watch some Baywatch back in the day. I was tearing up the bikinis. I was watching watching Hasselhoff run around like he's, sucking up the gut. His body's as terrible as mine, trying to be the tough lifeguard. Oh, God. Get back in the Trans Am.
Baywatch. Yeah. Oh man!
When Carbon Electra was on there, I was really watching then. Anyway, let's get off the 90s anyway.
Oh man! Well, this has been a lot of fun, and let's see, what does that say? Okay, I can't see. Golly, my eyes. Southern Sierra. A park ranger told me that there were huge oceans and submarines under Death Valley that connected to Watson Lake.
Well, that's interesting.
We've been hearing a lot about the submarines underneath America. So really interesting. Thank you for that information.
Death Valley, that's California, right?
Where?
California? Death Valley?
I guess so. I'm not sure.
Or is that Nevada? I don't know.
Maybe Nevada. Nevada. I say Nevada, but Nevada, tomato. That's where there's a submarine base.
That's where you saw that. Sure.
Yeah.
That's some of that data that shocked me because I was unaware that there were those passengers. When I think about underground transport, I think about like those trains or something like what's the name described? Lost his hand. What's his name? Kim said Preston Nichols, not Preston Nichols. The guy that talked about the underground bases, the Dumbs.
Oh.
Lost his hand. Lost his fingers.
Phil Schneider.
Phil Schneider. Phil Schneider. He talked about some of those like transports they had out of there. Sounded pretty cool, like super trains or something. I guess Magna trains. Magneto
trains. Yeah, magnet trains.
Right now. Yeah.
I border Cali and Nevada, so weird central. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, this has been awesome, y'all. Huge, awesome. I don't know. I had a good time today, y'all. I had a good time, Barry. Thank you so much for being here today.
Poncho is called the deep biosphere. Anyway, sorry. Go ahead.
Okay.
Sorry. Sorry.
Yes. Moondog says there's a massive ocean under the Sahara Desert too. I don't know. That's so wild. Okay. Well, yeah. And I was just watching the something about, there was like a whistleblower talking about what all Admiral Byrd had seen down there, like some classified documents and stuff down in Inner Earth too. So
So much
That's
information now that we've never heard before. I've been following that for years. I saw that.
Yeah.
You talked about that right there. They're talking about, it's called the deep biosphere. And the deep biosphere contains 95+% of Earth's undiscovered bacteria and fungal components that are actually called, it takes us into melanin, so I got to say it, melanated. It's called dark microbial matter. Anybody can look that up. And you want to talk about a way to restore the Earth. Think about the type of bacterial phages like the Lambda phage, aka the thesis hypothesis, and how that can actually maybe regenerate Earth. The same way the pharaohs are trying to use the Lambda phage and turn it into the mycystic cycle, which means when it interjects DNA into the cell, it replicates the phage itself. And remembering that all of our uncoded DNA is viral and bacterial. Most of it, anyway. Food for thought.
Food for thought, y'all. We're going to leave on that note tonight. I hope y'all enjoyed this as much as we did. And yes, thank you, C. Duke. Please hit the thumbs up, the like button, you guys, for the video. If you have made it this far with us, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. And subscribe to Barry's channel as well. Barry, where can everybody find you?
Oh, it's going to be like last time. All of a sudden, I do this on you.
What? No, don't do that.
I'm just kidding, man. You can reach me for any services at barrylittleton13@gmail.com. Today, I answered about 6 people. I did miss a few last few days. They did get into the promo thing, but I'm trying to check it every day now. So you can reach me, barrylittleton13@gmail.com. You can also catch me on YouTube or on Patreon or on Facebook. I need to start putting more stuff on Facebook. And that's it. Thank you. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for having me, Jessica. It's been fun.
Of course. Here, I'm going to put up your email address. If anybody wants services with Barry, regressions, everything that Barry offers, that's his email address, y'all. barrylittleton13@gmail.com. Okay. And yeah, man, this has been a great show. I really had fun. These are some of my favorite shows, is like where, I mean, you and I never hardly talk about the data before we go live on these targets and stuff. And it's even better when, we don't even know what we're going to talk about at all, y'all. And it just goes all over the place. I think it's wonderful. So, yeah. So thank y'all so much for being here. And thank you to all my Patreon members, y'all, for being a part of my Patreon family. And if you guys want to see that data, from tonight, please go join my Patreon, and I would appreciate that. So, all right, well, I guess I'll be back here on Saturday night, and we will be on the hunt 10 p.m. Eastern. It will be a live show, so y'all come see me. And don't worry about 3-Eye Atlas. I see you, Night Drive, that you watch Baywatch. Don't worry about 3-Eye Atlas. It is not, listen, it's not going to hurt us. Solomon Jack says it's arriving on your birthday. Oh my gosh, is that a sign? It will be. So it's going to be passing by the closest to Earth. Do you know there's actually a countdown clock, a whole website that's counting down to the second when 3-Eye Atlas is going to be closest to Earth? It's going to be on Solomon Jack's birthday. So happy birthday.
Yeah, happy
December
birthday.
the 18th. Yeah. Early birthday.
There's a countdown clock for 3-Eye Atlas. Are you serious?
I'll pull it up. You want to see it? Let's check it out real quick. Hold on.
Last bit of torture for the B-Dub. Let's see the 3-Eye
Atlas.
See it?
Well, let's see what it is. Let's see. 3-Eye Atlas countdown. Here we go. Okay. It's a NASA. This is NASA. Hold on. Maybe that's the wrong one. Hold on. I'll pull it up in just a second. The live position tracker. Sky Live.
This makes me think of the day that a Krispy Kreme opened up a few blocks from my house. I know there were maniacs around down the block sleeping in tents, ready for that place to open the next morning in line. It was absolutely crazy. People started telling me, like, oh, yeah, I'll pull in my coat. And this, you'll drive by there, Barry. I would drove by there. Oh, man. People titted out there. It was 2 a.m. I couldn't believe it.
Oh, my gosh.
I said, those must be some good
here we
donuts.
go.
God. Yeah.
Hold on, let me find this. Hold on, which one is it? 3i Atlas Tracker. Okay, we're about to pull it up right now. Before we go, I know it's getting late, y'all. But we got to show Barry this because he hasn't seen it yet. This is
Too bad we don't have any food pockets right now. We can just eat, right?
Oh my God, Barry. All right, that's the tracker right there. That's it. So December the 18th, and we have 27 days, 20 hours, 12 minutes, and 18 seconds. 17, 16. I mean, that is wild that it's down to the second for the closest approach to Earth. So if you guys want to go see that, just go check. It's actually i3atlas.com. The letter I3 and then atlas.com. So yeah. So that's it, Barry. If you would like to track it, I know you're going to be checking it up on it every day because you are so interested in 3i Atlas.
You're having logs on that bug every day. I'm going to stopwatch.
I'll send it to you. I'll send you a screenshot once a day.
Oh man.
Okay. I'll just let you know. I'll send you a link.
Maybe,
Don't worry.
Maybe that's the day all of a sudden it opens up and all these orbs come and everything changes here.
Oh man.
Never know.
Yeah.
It could happen, right?
You never know. Man. All right. Well, everybody have a wonderful night. And thank you again so much for being here. If you made it this far, you guys are the true heroes of the Cryptid Hunters channel tonight. And Barry, we'll come see you over on your channel too.
God, I didn't know it was that late.
Yes, I know. We got school tomorrow too, so we're going to have to run. All right, y'all. Everybody go get you a snack if you're still hungry after our conversation tonight. And I'll see you back here on Saturday night. And we'll see you over on Barry's channel on Sunday if Barry goes live. And y'all have a great night.
Thank you.
Okay. Awesome. Y'all have a great night. And we'll see you next time. Bye, y'all. See you, Barry.